we take down, it's about habits and lifestyle paradigm. I think the most important thing that comes to mind is about our lifestyles that we lead these days and habits that we have. And habits die hard. We all know about that. So, my panel who's there, I'd like to invite each one of them onto the dais. Shri Arun Kumar Jha sir, he's an IAS retired officer from the Government of India, senior advisor, John Snow India, and advisor India SME Forum. Sir, please. Second, we want to have is from RML Hospital, a dear friend of mine, Dr. Devarushi Sharma. He's a director professor of surgery and a distinguished member of the surgical faculty. Dr. Devarushi here. Third, I want to invite from the FSSI, because it's very important uh, to know about what food we should have and what are the standards there, and no one else can do that better. Shri R.K. Jain sir, the ED from FSSI sir, onto the deck. With this, one more I want to call my friend from RML. I think he was slightly delayed, but I'm thankful that he's come. He was in Bangalore taking an exam there, and now he's in Delhi. He just landed and he's here with us. Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, sir, Director Professor for Neurosurgery and Head of the Department of the Neurosurgery Sciences at RML Hospital, sir. Dr. Bharti Bajaj, a consultant physician, homeopathy and acupuncture. If he's there, I think we want to have this if he's there. Dr. Bharti. Okay, we'll get him there. The last, and Mr. Mohan Rao, Assistant Director, Naturopathy, if he's there. As the organizer, Lalit, can you get some? And find out if they are there, available. And last but not the least, I will be there, the moderator as well as the presenter. And my topic would be on sugar, the next tobacco. So I think to start with the tobacco epidemic, I think, can I invite Shri Arun Kumar Jha sir onto the dais for his presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mehra. Thanks to CSR Foundation and of course to Mr. Deen Dayal Agarwal ji for inviting us here and talking about something about integrating health way forward. Actually, it is by chance that when I was in the ministry, I was given the charge of tobacco control, although I was a smoker at that time. And I was an avid pan, Prague and Rajnigandha chewing, tobacco chewer. The basic fault lies not only because that I had adopted or inherited that, from my cultural background. North Bihar, from where I belong to, you grow up in the culture of eating pan. And Jarda, tobacco, is a very good accompaniment for that pan. And how it came, I don't know. But what I found that, what we studied, that Portuguese was the first to bring the tobacco in India. And this is how it started. And now the menace is such a big that almost 13 lakh persons, they die of tobacco. Even I have had a biopsy also because of my problem at that time. But somehow I have given up, quit after, I was in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The point I'm trying to tell you that tobacco, it is a major cause for the preventable death. I don't know if you say that sedentary lifestyle or you do not do exercise or you eat a lot of other junk food. But here the thing which you eat that creates a problem. And not only in India. Of course, India is one of the largest, prevalence of this tobacco. Almost, you can say 300 million. 30 करोड़ आदमी सिगरेट, टोबैको, स्नफ और किससे ग्रसित है यहाँ, और 13.5 लाख जो हम बता रहे हैं, मैं बता रहा हूँ, वो भी इट इज ऑफ कोर्स Tobacco lobby says that it is not a correct picture. The point I'm trying to tell you that you all understand all what is it about, but you may not be knowing the extent of problem which is it causing. We have got tobacco control, but at the same time we have a tobacco board also in India, which promotes tobacco cultivation and incentivize the tobacco farmers. So it is a paradox. You know, Nirman Bhavan, you are talking about tobacco control in the Udyog Bhavan, you talk about the tobacco promotion. So in the tobacco control, what we did, and it was a big achievement for India. If you see that in tobacco control, in the index of the control, India is third in the world. Only two countries, Australia and one more country, which is ahead of us in our tobacco control. What we did that, there is a act which was passed in 2003 to prohibit tobacco consumption, and then not tobacco consumption, tobacco advertisement. Prior to that, tobacco, it was advertised. After that, it was said that there will not be any kind of advertisement. Now, if you see, you will recall that why, villain or film star, everybody was used to smoke. That was, surrogate advertisement by the tobacco manufacturer. That was the, lobby, such a strong lobby, like ITC. They never write that they are Indian tobacco company. They write only ITC. 60% of its profit come from tobacco only. Can you imagine? All other things are welcome hotel, their products, their atta, Asirvad, car. These are all secondary. Major profit margin comes from that. Second thing what government of India was able to do was to have a graphic picture on the tobacco product. It was a major achievement. 85% of the space will be covered by. So if you buy a tobacco cigarette packet, you will be wondering what is the name or what is the brand name of the cigarette, because it will be somewhere, because 85% is covered by the graphic. Why it was that? Because we thought that in India everybody is not literate. Everybody may not have the time to read. And then when I was there, we introduced another thing also. We gave the quit line number, that if you dial, if you are not able to quit the smoking, you please dial this number. They will help you in, giving up smoking or eating, pan prag or rajnigandha tobacco thing. Then third one was, are you aware? I don't know whether you are aware or not. Every public places is banned from smoking. Every public, no restaurant, no public places, no government office, airport, railway station, bus depot, hospitals, anywhere which is owned by government or is a public place, cannot allow smoking. What you find in hookah bar and all, it is all illegal. It is totally illegal. Then, what we did, that we banned certain or places, even though it was not public place, like whole of Udyog Bhavan, even outside also premises 20 feet across the road you cannot smoke. There was a such kind of thing, and Nirman Bhavan we tried to introduce. But point I'm saying that the worst thing which we have not been able to do is that disseminate the awareness and the information regarding the menace which tobacco creates. So this is, and in India, it's not, in the world, the population of 7 million person, they die because of tobacco. And what happens, he might be aware that in the register, where you write the disease, cause of the death, so nobody writes that he died because of tobacco chewing or something. He will write that he died of tuberculosis, he died of cancer, he died of lung infection, whatever, all sorts of things. So that is another problem. But of course, we are trying to, do as much as possible. That the government of India is, committed to, prevent. But at the same time, I told you that there is another lobby for tobacco production, whole of this, uh, tobacco is grown in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu and other places. In Bihar, UP also it is produced, but that is not of good quality. The Virginia tobacco that is grown only in Karnataka, etc. The point I'm saying that cigarette, and at least on the Doctor's Day, when we are remembering Bidhan Chand Ray, we used to say, you used to hear a lot of tales about him. One of the tales I read in Wikipedia, that once he entered the hospital and he said there is somebody having a smallpox from the he could smell that somebody is having. So and I don't know whether many of us do not know, he was the first Chief Minister of West Bengal. He was West Bengal Pradesh Congress Committee Chairman also, President also. And he was father of Siddharth Sangat. Many of us do not know that also. And of course, he was born in Patna. Yes, 1st July 1884 he was born. And he died also on 1st July 1962. तो ही यूज्ड टू से दैट, हम लोग सुनते थे अपने बचपन में सब लोग कि खाना पीजिए, पानी खाइए और सिगरेट मत पीजिए. यही. थैंक यू वेरी मच. तो दिस इज व्हाट आई वांटेड टू से. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, Shri Arun Jha sir. I think sir has a passion for tobacco, and since I met him in the ministry looking after the tobacco policies and all, I found his passion to be there. And one of his passions was he had the National Resource Center for Oral Potentially Malignant Disorders established at Lady Hardinge Medical College. I think a round of applause to what sir has done for the country. The idea being that we cannot stop cancer, but at least we can, if we can catch cancer at an early stage, when it is not cancer, I think we've made the day. So that is what our vision is, and that is what we are planning to do. Thank you so much, sir, for coming in and blessing the occasion. Thank you, sir. The next speaker of ours, again, a distinguished person from the Faculty of Surgery at RML Hospital, and I present to you Devrishi, Dr. Devrishi.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Proud privilege and honor to be here among all of you. Right. हो गया क्या वो प्रेजेंटेशन होने
फोन करेंगे तो प्ले का ऑप्शन आएगा, प्ले कर दीजिए आप, डिस्प्ले पे शो हो जाएगा, प्ले कर दीजिए आप सर.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity, sir, Mera sir. I probably am the first person who will talk little organic, means in the sense that we are surgeons. We remove something, we reconstruct something, and I have a video also how we operate. So that also I prefer. I'll try to show if you can absorb blood. That is, it shows little bit of blood actually. My topic is obesity, and I have added one line and bariatric surgery. This is the surgery which is we do for obesity. Uh, this surgery is something everybody must have heard. The surgery being performed all over the country. This is something not new. This is something which is there for a long time. It was in 1950s. It was first done in Iowa. And from there, it has grown. At that time, what was done was big incision was made in the abdomen, and then the organ, whatever surgery was done inside the incision had the morbidity. Now with laparoscopy and robotics, this, because of the small holes we make in the abdominal wall, this surgery is being promoted. So it's not something new. And at the end, we alter the metabolic process with what the patient is suffering from. But before going on to this, we have to talk a little bit about obesity, which is a epidemic, a pandemic, which is involving all parts of the world, and India is one. And somebody said that India is a capital of diabetes. Yes, India will become a capital of diabetes. It's already a capital. By 2050, more than 50% of the population will have diabetes in India. So when you have to calculate this, we calculate the first thing we need to know, among many other things, the fat content, the muscle content. One, the gross thing which we need to know is the body mass index. Body mass index is the weight divided by height in meters square. So if you have these two examples, a person who is 80 kilos weight, if he is 1.65, that is the height, his BMI is something around 29.4. But if he is 110 kilos at that same height, his BMI becomes 40. So in this classification, we label them as BMI up till 24.9 as a normal weight, beyond 24.9 to 29.9 as an overweight, and beyond 30 as a person who is obese. So you come across many people who might be of 100 kilos, 90 kilos. Many things depend on the height of the person, whether he is overweight or normal weight. The next international classification that we have on obesity is that it is divided into class 1, class 2, beyond that. And the morbid obesity is something which we surgeons need to operate upon. And that there is a waist measurement also by which it is described: a men beyond 102 and a woman beyond 88 centimeter waist. But the problem with India, and not only with India, with Asians, is that our fat content is more than the muscle content. A person of the same height and same weight, a European, or particularly an African person, this person will have more muscle, but an Asian person tend to have more fat in the body, and that fat is the culprit. So we Indians are called as thin fat Indians. Because of this, ICMR has brought down the levels, the BMI standard, the BMI levels in India. The 40 is regarded as morbidly obese internationally, but India, it is regarded, 37.5 is regarded as the morbidly obese. And a person with comorbidity is regarded as 32.5, whereas internationally it is 35. So in India, they have brought down this. ICMR guidelines talk about this. So these are the acceptable surgical options in which we operate the patient. Now, coming to the problem, in India, we do not have a lot of data. We do not have the exact statistics, though we have a huge population of morbidly obese persons. In US, if you look at it, they have a very high rate of morbidly obese persons, and in Asia, China is the highest, followed by India. Now, if you people are talking about obesity causing smoking causing lung cancer. If you look at it, the number of persons which died of colon, breast, and lung cancer, more than that, obesity-related deaths were more. Obesity can cause more problems than these cancers also. Now, the data, if you look at the data between 1986 to 2000, obesity has doubled in US. It has the morbidly obese, the one which above 40 have quadruple, and the super obese, which is having a BMI above 50, have increased fivefold. So the ones, it's something that the rich is becoming richer, that kind of a thing, that the obese people are getting more obese, and the morbidly obese are getting more morbidly obese. So this is something, and the numbers are also increasing at that time. So if this is a very important data, that the obesity related deaths are more in combined to the colon, breast, and lung cancers. Now, the second step of the magnitude of the problem, how it is related with the morbidity, mortality and the morbidity. Men with more 50% overweight has got a twice the mortality. This is when you add diabetes. DM stands for diabetes mellitus. It becomes is again five times. But for women, if you look at it, it becomes 8 times. So a woman, a morbidly obese woman with diabetes, is a danger recipe. And if you look at the total healthcare costs in US, it costs around 60 billion US dollars. So this is the magnitude of the problem which we are seeing in US in this decade probably, but in the next coming 2 decades or a decade and a half, it's going to be in India. The epidemic proportions in India is very high in some cities, Punjab is one city, one state which everybody can understand. There are states like Goa, Tamil Nadu, which have got a very high obesity index. They obese peoples are very high. The least are in the northeastern states like Manipur and Mizoram. So there are many theories which have been put uh, forward that why is obesity more prone in India. If you look at the Indian genetic things also, if you look at the pathophysiology genetic things, it was when we were suffering from these protein energy malnutrition in the 1950s. These genes, there are many genes which were thought, particularly the tryptophan gene, was regarded as a very good gene by which people used to survive. Now food is available, and this gene is the main problem which is causing all the problem. With at that time, it was now, treating obesity, what it cures all these diseases of cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, diabetes. There are sleep apneas, joint diseases, GI reflux things coming out after eating, things coming to the mouth or water brush, these kind of things. And if you look, as I said earlier, that obesity and smoking, it is only just after smoking that this is the only cause which can prevent deaths in the world. Medical therapy, yes, there are many medicines which are being given for obesity, but once you stop this medicine, the refractory increase in the weight is more than the original. So the medicines are costly. The medicines have their own side effects, their long-term side effects, and the long-term use and the refractory increase in the medicine is something very high. Just to bring you people, if you agree, I show you the video how we operate and what is done inside. This is different to uh, the liposuction which is done. Here we do a metabolic derange when we cut inside the abdomen. Inside the abdomen, the organ, the stomach, the intestines, all these are cut, and so the one intestine is joined to one part of the. If you can, if you want to see, I can show you the video. Okay. This is done laparoscopically and robotic. This is ours is a government hospital, totally under central government. Things are absolutely free. So that means that I'm not advertising. I'm just trying to tell you people that it's different to. अच्छा, it's not coming. अच्छा, मैंने प्ले किया है. इधर तो वीडियो चल रही है. इधर तो प्ले किया है मैंने. फिर से निकाल के लगा दो. निकाल के लगा दो. डुप्लीकेट मोड में कैसे डालते हैं? हाँ?
यहाँ पे राइट क्लिक करके स्क्रीन शेयर होगा.
So view options. वीडियो पेन ड्राइव में है. पेन ड्राइव में डालना पड़ेगा. Oh, I'm sorry, the video is not running. That अभी तो ये भी बंद हो गया, बॉस. नहीं, ये तो इसमें वीडियो बहुत हैवी वीडियो है. So these patients need to go to the dietitian, the clinical psychologist, and the surgeon. A senior of mine often used to tell me that these patients have an endocrine, a metabolic, and a psychiatric problem. So why do you surgeons jump upon? We surgeons are jumping on this just because this is the only way by which you can have a long-term solution to the problem. It reverses diabetes in 85 to 90% of patients. And out of this 85 or 90% of patients, if they maintain it properly, diabetes comes back in only around 15% of the patients. So that you can say that around more than 65 of the patients are relieved of diabetes. I'll not say that all surgeries do it. There are definite surgeries. a person with more than 50 BMI with long-standing diabetes, with all the, in that person it might not be successful, but in persons in short diabetes in the short term with obesity around say 40 45, these things, this tends to work. So there are risks associated with surgery. The risk is as much risk as like the way the risk you have in walking on the Indian roads. The amount of risk, that is the amount of risk that we have in surgery. But the only thing that is required is aftercare and the behavioral modifications after surgery. So this is what we require. And obesity at this time is a complete epidemic in India, and that is one which needs to be prevented. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think if you give the video onto the pen drive, I think. I have it in the pen drive at the back. We'll play it after the. Let's lower it down. I think, Devashi, you made an excellent presentation, told us about the obesity problem or the epidemic that we have in India and globally also, and what allopathic surgeon can do there in integrating. And the idea behind presenting this through the CSR Research Foundation or having integrated healthcare the way forward, I think the right topic to get obesity down the line. We've got people from the Ayush side, dietitian side, spirituality. Brahma Kumari's madam is there. I think we'll need to listen to all of them. And of course, the AI team from CSIR. How does that integrate into oral health? Also, Dr. Mandra made that presentation because it starts from the oral cavity. Whatever you eat ultimately goes down to your stomach, and then you're the surgeon or the other people taking over. The next person onto my panel, I would like to invite none other than Mr. R.K. Jain, sir, the ED and the from FSI. I think Debashish told about the after effects. He'll tell us about the before effects of food. I think after that lunch, I think Sir will point out the various disadvantages there or the standards that we need to take care about. Uh, and I know that he's got a passion for FSI getting the standards of everything, and that is the beauty about our healthcare system in India, that we are trying to make standards for whatever we eat these days, whether it be bread, whether it be drinks that we take in, everything is standards, and we need to read those standards in what the government has made those guidelines in, because then only you know what you're going to take in. And the main most important thing goes into this the food part of the any diet drinks that is there, as Dr. Mandra said, comes with sugar. So when you talk about sugar, I think sugar is the next tobacco. So we'll come to that later on. But before that, it's all about FSI and the role that FSI plays. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm thankful to CSR Research Foundation and Dr. Mehra for providing the opportunity to interact with such learned audience. Most of them are from medical profession, and I am basically a non-medical person. So when I joined FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, about 4 years back, uh, I also didn't have the real idea how seriously food is to be taken. Yeah. So now I'll not turn it into a kind of corporate presentation for obvious reasons, because the work that FSCI is required to do is sometimes technical. But the overall uh, emphasis is to basically strengthen food safety ecosystem in the country. Now that has come after the Food Safety and Standards Act that was passed in 2006. So our basic responsibility is laying down science-based standards for articles of food, regulate their manufacture, storage, distribution, sale, and import of food, ensure availability of safe and wholesome food. If you see the words safe and wholesome food, it is not only safe. So generally, people think that we are only doing safety. That is one part of our job. Second part is wholesome food. So wholesome food encompasses everything that is required for our nutrition and growth and all. Now the basic premises which we work upon is that if it is not safe, it is not food. So basically, if it is not safe, it is not food, then obviously it is something else. So there begins another round of, uh, new round, that you are not eating food, you are eating something else, and then you will require definitely some kind of treatment. So basically, safety is the first part of any food item. Now, okay, once you ensure that it is safe, now basically the food habits or consumption pattern is changing very fast. Earlier, about, I mean, a decade ago, probably the consumption pattern was something slightly less complicated. People had a lot of homemade or self-made or that kind of stuff. But now the food industry, food business operators, packaged food, they are basically taking over the traditional uh, food preparation methods. So once the packaging comes into play, other factors also come into play. Next slide. Now the very first part of it, if you have to define something safe, you have to bring out standards. How will you consider it safe? Suppose there's a simple commodity like wheat or say milk. First of all, if you declare something safe or unsafe, you have to define the standards, that if it meets these standards, it will be considered safe, or if it doesn't meet these standards, it will be considered unsafe. So that is done through formulation of food standards and other regulations. So we have in last 11 12 years brought out about 24 regulations, food regulations, that cover entire spectrum of food safety. So the names are like that: food product standards and food additives regulation, prohibition and restriction of sales, contaminants, toxins and residues. So these are basically science-based standards that I talked in the first slide. So these are prepared by our scientific panels, scientific committees, food authority, and they are based on wider consultations. That means whenever these standards are formulated or proposed to be formulated, they are always available on our website. Anybody can comment on those, submit feedback, and that feedback is taken uh, seriously. So for packaging, import, food recall, laboratory and sampling analysis, licensing and registration, labeling and display. Why these are important? Unless you have these standards, food producers or food business operators, they will, everybody would try to put some information which is beneficial to them. Unless you have some denominator that this is the basic information you are required at least to give on your label, read label will be very difficult. Suppose there is some one small thing that you have to mention what is the added sugar component. So if that component is not there, somebody might claim that the grain is having that much natural sugar, and I mean that kind of confusion might arise. So laying down of standards is a first process through which you can ensure that the operators are required to follow the standards, or you can enforce your law accordingly. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so enforcing these standards is one part. Now, actually, our job doesn't end there. Our job is the second part is the wholesome food. So, for basically to ensure that people are aware, they are given choices, they are trained. The people in the food business, they are trained. So, just to coordinate those activities, we have launched something called Eat Right India movement or Eat Right India program. Now we consider that safe food and healthy diets are critical in the context of high burden of foodborne diseases, undernutrition, micronutrient deficiency. So here comes the role of food, which probably everybody would agree. Is there any disagreement also with this statement? Is there any? So let us take it as now. Once you agree that safe food and healthy diets are critical, now how do we propagate that? Because there will be foods which people may not be traditionally aware of. There are a lot of packaged foods, packaged categories, which people may not be aware of what those foods are containing. Okay, so our emphasis is basically on educating people what are the healthy choices. So this is not something which we can enforce. This is only through educating people and trying to bring them on board by giving more choices. Next slide, please. This particular program has three pillars: eat safe, eat healthy, and eat sustainable. So within these three pillars, we try to coordinate the activities of Eat Right India. So now, if I say eat safe, so there come the hygiene part of it, safety part of it, regulation part of it, enforcement part of it, testing part of it. When eat healthy, basically balanced diet, and we try to, educate about eating. You cannot basically ask somebody that okay, please don't eat high sugar foods which are high in sugar or high in fat. In our society, there are a lot of traditional foods which are sometimes very high in sugar content. Jalebi or rasgulla or whatever. So they are traditional foods. You can't straight away ask people, okay, stop eating this. It is very, sometimes it is causing imbalance in your diet. So basically, then we came out with something called thoda kam. Okay, I mean, every now and then it is okay, but if you are trying to eat two, try to eat one less. That kind of concepts we are trying to propagate. And third is eat sustainable. So that means eat whatever is local or seasonal, and then when you are having packaging, so try to reduce the plastic content, and I mean, reducing kind of usage of plastic in the food packaging. Yeah, next slide. So this basically program has five. I mean, this is not actually what I found is that bringing change in dietary behavior is probably one of the most complex tasks. It involves a lot of communication. People are accustomed to one diet, which may not be balanced in real sense. If any nutritionist uh, goes through the contents, it might be very highly loaded in favor of carbohydrates. So I mean, the entire carbohydrate may be causing some imbalance, and not everybody, unless they feel sick or they are highly obese, like Dr. Sharma was saying, they go to a dietitian at hospitals. So I mean, based on the internal experience with people communicating about these things, so we also realize that communication is one part. We have to bring changes in other ecosystem also, like whatever is the regulatory framework. Some things are required to be done on our part, like better labeling requirements. So when a consumer picks up a food item, he is able to get a better understanding of the constituents of the food item which is there. So that we realize that we need to change certain regulations. So changes have been there since then. Then second part was training and capacity building. In our country, uh, the small and very small food operators, we realized that they hardly had any education or training in handling food. Even in medium size of food business operations, the same problem was there, that the staff which was working in food production or food service, they didn't have the right kind of training. So then a program for capacity building was taken up, and in about 5 years, we have been able to train about 11 lakh food handlers through that program. The name of that program is FOSTEC. If you had noticed, in this hotel itself, there was a FOSTEC training going on today. So it is that kind of training which is required for every food handler to be given. And probably the number of food business operators is about 60 lakhs in the country, and several times of that number, they are engaged in serving food or production of food. So that basic training is required to be given to all. Third one was food safety rating and certification. So we realized that the campuses, or say where the street food vending is done, or where railway stations are there, so probably enforcing, going there with the enforcement sort of bent of mind won't work, and you require a lot of enforcement machinery to enforce your food safety. So enforcement, while enforcement may go on, your positive kind of promotional schemes should also be there, so that uh, whosoever is serving food, they come forward for this rating and certification, like restaurant or say food streets or any food supplier. So we brought out the guidelines and process of certification. So I mean, a lot of positive response has been there for this. Then nudging food businesses also, continuously interacting with them to request them to change their food composition of their food products, to bring down the trans fat level, to bring down sugar or not so good fat, that kind of, to bring down those components. And last is the social and behavioral change, direct communication through TV, radio. So these were the different key actions which we took for promoting eating right concept. Yeah, next slide. This I think I have already discussed. Next. So this is, I mean, training and capacity building. Again, if you go to, if any food operator or any organization which is serving food, they can request for training, and this is done on PPP mode. Yeah, next. So these are some of the ratings and certification programs like Clean Street Food Hub, then Clean and Fresh Fruits and Vegetable Market, Blissful Hygienic Offering to God. Bhog is for temples, and Eat Right Station is for railway stations. So different numbers are, I mean, depending on the participation from different states, state food safety commissioners. So different numbers are every month, say few hundreds of the organizations are taking this kind of ratings and certification. Next. So that was first street food hub, then Bhog certification for Akshadam, then Mumbai Central was the first Eat Right station. These were some TV campaigns. आज से थोड़ा कम, and then खाना plus or minus का खेल है. That was from Virat Kohli. Plus means fortified foods, and minus means reducing salt, sugar, and fat in your food. And then third was Sakshi Tamar. Look for fortified products, fortified food. And last one is our food safety on wheels. So we have about 250 odd vehicles which basically test your food on the spot. Yeah, next. This is one new program which is being promoted by Ministry of Health to develop 100 healthy and hygienic food streets across the country. So these guidelines are being developed by FSSAI and will be implemented by states as well as NHM. Next. Now, actually, the entire work of science, which is involved in making of food standards, food product standards, can't be done by FSA only. So we have a large number of collaborating institutes and organizations through which we work, and I request personally to everybody who is interested in developing or modifying the food standards, they may join one platform or the other. One is network of professionals of food and nutrition, and the other one is network for scientific cooperation for food safety and applied nutrition. Next. So the members of network of food and nutrition, different associations, like even IMA is a member of that, and culinary association and other associations are there. They are the member of this. Basically, the activities are to promote the concept of eating right. Next. And this network of scientific cooperation is basically two institutes which are engaged in research, and whenever there's some research issue or data collection is required, then we request the institutes to take up that research and bring out the data so that it can be plowed back into standard making. Thank you so much.
Mike,
Yeah.
Mike.
Thank you, sir. Nice presentation and awareness. Sir, you said you want to reduce plastics in food industry. Of late, Mother Dairy, Vita in Haryana, and Varka in Punjab. I have experience of these three. They have started increasing the use of plastic. One is weight because of 50 micron, that is another issue. But second is they have reduced the content in their per packing. Like lassi used to come 1 liter, they have reduced, work has reduced to 900 ml. Mother dairy from 400 it has come to 230 or 250 ml. So one is that how you are trying to do that. Second, sir, we eat so many snacks. Like Golgappa wala, they add tejab acid, some hydrochloric acid, and they add artificial sweeteners instead of good in making that sweet chutney. So how to handle that? Third, sir, ये जो samosa and kachori they fry, how many times that oil can be used by that halwai? So that should be the standard because that spoils my health rather than. Thank you very much, sir.
See, I'll take the third question first. There is something called used oil. Used oil, if you use oil repeatedly, heat it again, allow it to cool, and then reheat it, and then try to fry it. Okay, so the oil is not worth using. So basically, technically, there is a level up to which you can use that oil. After that, you have to discard it. Okay. So for basic, it is not possible to send it every time to laboratory. Uh, at what stage your oil has gone bad. So to test that, there are handheld devices which are available, which are approved by FSSAI, which the food business operators can use and find out whether that oil has gone not usable or bad. So at that point of time, they can discard that oil. And where do you throw that oil? That is another problem. So to address that problem, there's a program called RUCO, uh, reusing used cooking oil, repurposing used cooking oil. See, actually, this is to collect the used oil and repurpose it. FSI can only make a scheme, and to basically implement it to some extent. For entire country, collecting by FSI is not possible. So what initially has been done is to basically coordinate with other land ministries and sort of propagate it as a scheme. So other people also join that. So to the best of my knowledge, uh, around major this oil producing, sorry, this snacks producing cities or towns, there are already people who collect this oil and they send it to for say biodiesel or soap industry. So that kind of activity is all is within the knowledge of FSSAI. So that is part one. Now, if a food business operator doesn't want to discard it, so then comes the issue of prosecution, enforcement. So enforcement is the other answer. Now, as I said, in a country like ours, enforcing at every nook and corner is really resource consuming. So it is going on. But if everybody is aware of it, then things will be solved much uh, easily. The second one is mixing something in say, Golgappa and other things. Again, the enforcement is on. Enforcement never stops. So at this point of time, also some samples would have been being collected by food safety officers. So that is a continuous process. If there is a specific complaint, it is always looked into. So that is the issue of enforcement. And the third one was, I think, mm, what was the first question? Plastics. Plastic. See, no, that is basically see. Yeah, see.
That's a company policy.
No, that see. FSSAI is basically a regulator. Regulator draws its powers from act, rules, and regulations. So beyond that, we can only request the food business operators that please do not do this, because using plastic or regulating plastic probably would be slightly off mandate for FSSAI. There are other Kanun in this country, laws in this country, which govern more than FSSAI for that. So we can only request the participating food businesses that please try to reduce to some extent. It has been allowed in some pet packaging, that has been allowed to some extent. So that's the only thing we can do. Thank you. Sir?
Reducing plastic. So we should not, actually it's a consumer also. They have some regulations. As consumers, we should try to avoid that. Similarly with mother dairy, you talked about the price for the toned one. Okay, you take the coin into it and get a drink out into your can is almost the same as the plastic one bag which is sold. I think the plastic bag should be much costlier so that the person comes with his tin. I remember when we were young, we used to carry a jug there and take that drink. Now that habit has totally changed. So the consumer should also change. And that is why we all are here, integrating healthcare the way forward. I think none other better than a person from the government background, Mr. General Sir, the ex-director from CPCB. So the Pollution Control Board is there to look after the ecosystem in the country there. And of course, the ex-director from ONGC again, Mr. Marwa sir is there. So again, he's there looking after the biofuels, how to make food there. And that is how integrating happens. The next speaker of ours, I think, Dr. Ajay, has no introductions, very limited introductions for him there. Come, Ajay. An esteemed clinician, a very good friend of mine, heading the team at RML Neurosurgery and a director professor of neurosurgery. A passion for patient care. That is what I can call him about. All yours.
Thank you and congratulations, Dr. Pravesh Mehra and all organizers, because such a topic is so important. And there are a lot of confusion between normal public that which therapy, which pathy is really good for certain disease or certain suffering. So I was attracted by integration and more to research, because research can integrate all the therapies. So we need validation, we need evidence. If there is evidence, then first thing I'll put a disclaimer that when around 9-10 years back, there was one seminar for this kind of integration. Many pathy people were available, controlled. So people were homeopath, Unani, Ayurvedic, and all. They were focusing on how they treat it. Then somebody asked me, ki, will you control? Will you give homeopathic medicine or Ayurvedic medicine to control refractory seizure? I said, a scope of allopathy. So I told them, see, पेशेंट जब घर से निकलता है तो एक तकलीफ के कारण वो हॉस्पिटल या डॉक्टर के पास पहुंचता है और उससे निजात पाना चाहता है. ही वांट्स टू गेट रिलीफ फ्रॉम द सफरिंग. और उसमें किसी भी, चाहे वो स्पिरिचुअल हो, साइकोलॉजिकल हो, होम्योपैथिक हो, आयुर्वेदिक हो, मॉडर्न मेडिसिन हो, किसी से उसको रिलीफ मिलता है, दे आर हैप्पी. एट द एंड हमारी सारी जो मशक्कत है, हमारी सारी जो पढ़ाई है, 12 साल की पढ़ाई, सिर्फ वही खुश उसी सफरिंग से रिलीफ देने के लिए है. तो फाइनली गोल इज सेम फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. वी नीड टू वैलिडेट आवर थिंग्स. लाइक ए स्मॉल किड विल आस्क कि मुझे ये तकलीफ है, खांसी हो रही है, खांसी हो रही है, होम्योपैथिक लिया, छोटी गोली ली, उससे आराम मिल गया. बड़े टैबलेट्स लेते हैं एलोपैथिक के, तो उससे कैसे आराम मिलता है? Then there is research and trials for modern medicine. So they give certain medicines which has been understood over the years because of research. So this was my disclaimer that we are all towards one goal of relieving the suffering. So, disease, suffering, and health. I must commit that we are in India, most of the doctors are disease doctors. We focus on disease only. And many a times, uh, we have patients which comes with brain tumors, head injury, there is hematoma, brain hemorrhage, and we operate, and sometimes they get relieved, sometimes they are not, and sometimes there are sufferings. And here, health doctors, yes, I believe yoga, meditation, pranayam, these are health promoting issue. In my OPD, many a times I ask patients, आपने कुछ invest किया है health में? तो they used to say that हाँ mediclaim लिया हुआ है. तो मेडिक्लेम इज इन्वेस्टमेंट टुवर्ड्स योर डिजीज व्हेन यू विल बी हैविंग योर डिजीज आपको कोई बीमारी होगी आपका 10 लाख का इन्वेस्टमेंट है वो उससे ठीक हो जाएंगे आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट गुड मॉर्निंग जब होता है 10 किलोमीटर दौड़ करके आते हैं और उसके बाद आप उस भूख को रिलीज करते हैं खाने को नहीं तब तब आप उसमें आप इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं दैट इज इन्वेस्टमेंट इन हेल्थ so, concept of disease and health doctor is very important. We should focus on health. Dr. Jain already has given how food is how much important. And I'll suggest one thing, sir. Folate deficiency is a known cause of congenital CNS anomaly, spina bifida, hydrocephalus. These are occurring because of folate deficiency in pregnant women. So, World Health Organization already has suggested that folate fortification should be done. It is in the process. Thanks. हाँ, मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि मैरिज में जाते हैं तो फॉलेट का एक पैक ही गर्ल्स को दे देना चाहिए क्योंकि मैरिड गर्ल्स हु वांट्स प्लानिंग टू हैव बेबी दे शुड ऑल टेक बिकॉज इंडिया में बड़ा मुश्किल है अवेयरनेस कैंपेन बड़ा बनाना और उसको ये करना सो while having suffering and disease only then doctors are consulted many a times क्योंकि लोग उस समय सोचते ही नहीं है मतलब हेल्थ के बारे में उनको जब ट्रबल होता है जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल आई विल टेल यू वन स्टोरी इन आवर हॉस्पिटल सेटअप डेली वी गेट 15 to 20% पेशेंट्स ऑफ स्ट्रोक दैट इज हेमरेज और इस्केमिक स्ट्रोक और हेमरेज जो होता है उसमें ज़्यादातर टाइम पता चलता है कि बीपी हुआ था दवाइयाँ ली ठीक हो गया डॉक्टर साहब फिर मैंने छोड़ दिया बीपी की दवा छोड़ दी और उसके बाद चेक भी नहीं कराया तो and they suddenly had brain hemorrhage and they land up in emergency with unconscious state. So this is a really serious issue. मुझे तो कभी कभी लगता है कि जो मॉल और मल्टीप्लेक्स वगैरह हैं वहाँ पे जहाँ पे आप सिक्योरिटी चेक करते हैं वहाँ पे बीपी चेक का लगा दीजिए और बीपी बढ़ा हुआ यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू व्यूज सिनेमास और आप मॉल में जा ही नहीं सकते शॉपिंग नहीं कर सकते कोई डिटरेंट रखना पड़ेगा जब हम लोग देखते हैं इतने ब्रेन हेमरेज के पेशेंट उसके छोटे बच्चे हैं और परेशान होते हैं एंड वी आर आल्सो एट सच ए स्टेज कि उनको कैसे समझाना कि न्यूरोनल प्लास्टिसिटी 6 महीने से 2 साल लग जाते हैं ठीक होने में अब उनको क्या समझाएं और वो लोग समझते हैं कि यहाँ कोई जादू है जादू कहीं नहीं है होम्योपैथ आयुर्वेद एलोपैथ कहीं पे जादू नहीं है जादू तो आपके अंदर जीने के तरीके में है सो दैट इज मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड aims and goal of the patient is immediate relief of the suffering उनको suffering से relief चाहिए और जितना जल्दी हो सके वो चाहते हैं and whether it is modern medicine or any other alternative therapy aims or target of a doctor is to cure the disease and improve quality of life and further preventing such episodes in future life so here I'll it was Hahnemann in 1842 who coined allopathy term. Allopathy is not exactly modern medicine. Modern medicine is evidence-based medicine. We are all using only those medicine and those surgery who has come up over the years by many trials, scientific trials, and there is enough strong evidence about it that it helps and what are its side effect it has been also studied So it is pure scientific, rational, logical. And as a rational society, we should believe in logical things. And at the same time, he was the person who started homeopathy also in Europe, Germany. So it is the modern medicine. I'll talk about the scope of modern medicine and not allopathy. Allopathy is the drug which treats disease in this pathy. It acts different from the disease suffering. And homeopathy is the drug in homeopathy creates symptoms similar to the disease. So it is homeopathy, and allopathy is that system which creates opposite to the symptoms. Modern medicine means evidence-based medicine must be scientific, rational, logical, and good quality studies and a strong level of recommendation should be there. So while talking about scope of modern medicine, emergency medical and surgical services, especially trauma. I believe in trauma, no other pathy will help. And if there is some possibility, anyone can tell me about. Suppose there is an accident and patient is having brain hematoma, hemorrhage in the brain, and it is causing significant mass effect, resulting into unconsciousness of the patient. That time he requires a surgery to relieve his brain from the pressure which is causing unconsciousness. So that is one area where, and I think it is not any pathy, it is purely modern medicine and it is logical. You should remove the compression so that brain function normally. Again, something like hypoglycemia. There is severe hypoglycemia and patient requires immediate glucose infusion. So these are the area and other emergencies. There are many emergencies where modern medicine act. And I think we can include other therapies into modern medicine. Like if good research is being done in Ayurvedic, Unani, homeopathic, they come with strong evidence and good level of recommendation, it is good. So it is modern medicine. So it is integration. Then emergency neurosurgical services. I'll tell you one story. Late night I was operating one brain tumor. That 3 a.m. in the morning, this whole area is having lot of pubs, discotheques, and five-star hotel and all. कई बार इधर से गुजरता हूँ तो देखता हूँ नीचे लड़कियां लड़के सब पड़े रहते हैं इस तरफ, इसी होटल के दूसरे तरफ. तो एक लड़का, ही वॉज राइडिंग ए costly car, 2 crores car, and he was lot of having tattoos all over the body, and there was kundal in and he met with severe accident and come in the emergency with unconscious state, and he was immediately intubated and resuscitated, put on ventilator. वेंटिलेटर पे डालने के बाद देयर वाज लॉट्स ऑफ अटेंडेंट एंड दे वर वेरी मच कनेक्टेड. Arun Jetli was that time finance minister. He came in the early morning, and when I went to see him, he was deeply comatose, no respiratory effort, full on ventilatory support. He was having alcohol toxicity that time, and he was drug addict also. So attendants were asking me, डॉक्टर साहब कोई घबराने की बात तो नहीं है. आई वॉज रियली थिंकिंग डीपली. वो उससे पूछा कि कितने साल से ड्रग एडिक्ट था, तो बोला 10 साल से ड्रग एडिक्ट था. स्मोक कितने साल से कर रहा है, उतने ही 10 साल से स्मोक भी कर रहा है. अल्कोहल डेली पब जाता था, अल्कोहल भी लेना डेली ही था लगभग. मैंने कहा 10 साल से कभी आपको घबराने की बात नहीं लगी. आज जब वो अनकॉन्शियस है, वेंटिलेटर पे है और अपना कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं है, मेरे से क्या कहलाना चाहती हैं कि मतलब वो मतलब कोई घबराए नहीं आप. मैं घबरा रहा हूँ, एज ए डॉक्टर मैं बहुत घबराया हूँ. तो दैट इज वन एरिया. 10 साल से आप फोकस कर सकते थे उसके लाइफ पे, लेकिन नहीं किया. उसको इतनी महंगी गाड़ी दे दी अल्कोहल टॉक्सिसिटी में, वो 200 के स्पीड पे इंडिया गेट में गाड़ी चला रहा था. तो उसके बाद क्या कर सकते हैं हम उसको. So definitely in India we should have more health doctors. Health doctors are coming up. There are people who is making aware things, making aware. Then there are people like Nirmal Baba and other I don't know. I'm not Bagesar Dham. They they also relieve the suffering because a lot of people go to there. But it must be validated. I'm only talking about it must be validated. A study must be done how Nirmal Baba cure things. So we'll see the how there are changes in molecules inside brain, and we'll be happy that he has certain evidence. So that is important. Even for routine care of brain and a spinal tumor, degenerative or infective disease of brain and a spine, many a times I think modern medicine is the answer because in those cases you can't wait. आप जब तक वेट करेंगे कोई थेरेपी से जिसमें कह रहे हैं कि टाइम लगेगा तब तक तो पैरालिसिस हो जाएगा और जब हो जाएगा तो फिर it is not easily reversible many a times. Then management of diseases are based on current evidence based guideline. Guidelines also changes over the time. आज जो गाइडलाइंस है और इतना फास्टली चेंज हो रहे हैं कि 5 साल के बाद और जल्दी गाइडलाइंस चेंज हो जाएंगे बिकॉज एविडेंसेस और स्ट्रॉन्ग आ रहे हैं, अच्छे ड्रग आ रहे हैं, अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजी आ रही है, तो उससे बेहतर तो हो रहा है. मुझे याद आता है मैं 20 इयर्स बैक जब रेजिडेंसी में था तो एक स्पाइन सर्जरी में 10 दिन के एडमिशन होते थे और आज के डेट में डे केयर में होता है. सिंगल लेवल डिस्क ऑपरेट करते हैं एंडोस्कोपिकली, शाम को चला देते हैं और नेक्स्ट डे मॉर्निंग घर के लिए तैयार हो जाते हैं. तो थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग एंड डेफिनेटली उस एरिया में फोकस करना चाहिए. इफ देर इज सॉल्यूशन इन अदर थेरेपी दे शुड कम अप विथ गुड स्टडीज एंड गुड एविडेंस. So most appropriate management are based on good level of recommendation and main aim is to have high amount of rationality and it must be logically explained. अगर ठीक हो गए तो क्यों हो गए और ठीक नहीं हुए तो क्यों नहीं हुए and people should understand it. So it's all about being rational and logical. Modern medicine is open to any idea, methods, which are results, which results research trial and validation of treatment methods. Alternative therapy should promote good quality studies to have strong evidences, which already I have talked. And for example, there is good level of evidence and recommendation for yoga and pranayam in certain diseases. In my personal experience, after brain surgery or spine surgery, I asked the patient to do pranayam, and there is good help in recovery and patient's well-being and willpower also. So thank you for patient listening. Thanks.
So I think an excellent presentation by our friend there, Dr. Ajay. And what he talked about is really rational. We got to think about it. And that is how therapies try to grow also in life. The next speaker on our panel, I think I would like to invite Dr. Mohan Rao, Assistant Director Naturopathy at the Government of India Ayush Center, CCRYN. Sir, all dice is all yours. So be crisp in 5-7 minutes. Sir.
Good afternoon to everybody. I am Dr. Mohan Rao, Assistant Director, working in Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy under Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. सबको जानता नेचुरोपैथी, इट्स ए ड्रगलेस सिस्टम, प्योरली ड्रगलेस सिस्टम. वो घर पे भी है, बाहर भी है, इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ. उसी को हम सिस्टम एक सिस्टम बना दिया था नेचुरोपैथी सिस्टम, एंड इट हैज डेवलप्ड इनटू ए मेडिकल सिस्टम वेयर we will not use any drugs in treating various disorders. ये ही है सिंपली नेचुरोपैथी का जो डेफिनेशन है. अभी नेचुरोपैथी का जो स्टैंडर्ड स्टेटस ऑफ एजुकेशन देखा जाए, अभी 52 to 56 कॉलेज है अक्रॉस द कंट्री. मोर साउथ में है वेयर यू गेट द रजिस्ट्रेशन एंड ऑल दैट. आपको पास आउट होने के बाद इनिशियली इट वाज स्टार्टेड 4 years कोर्स, बाद में 4.5 years कोर्स, फिर फाइनली नाउ इट इज अ 5.5 years कोर्स एट पार विद द अदर मेडिकल सिस्टम्स. साउथ में 5.5 years कोर्स का बाद में यू विल बी गिवन वैलिड मेडिकल रजिस्ट्रेशन. अभी सेंटर में इट इज अंडर कंसिडरेशन. अभी नॉर्थ में, अभी यूपी में मेरठ में एक कॉलेज है, और उसको 25-30 किलोमीटर के बाद में गोंग में एक मेडिकल कॉलेज है, और देहरादून में भी है, और पतंजलि इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एजुकेशन, स्वामी पतंजलि जो है ना, बाबा रामदेव जी, उन्होंने भी एक कॉलेज किया था. और गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज देखा जाए, राजस्थान में एक गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज है, और तमिलनाडु में चेन्नई में एक कॉलेज है, और कर्नाटका मैसूर में है, और तेलंगाना में एक कॉलेज है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में. बाकी सारे प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस में अभी चल रहा है. इट इज अंडर डेवलपमेंट. और कमिंग टू द हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम, we treat all the diseases except emergency and surgery. अभी ओबेसिटी के बारे में डॉक्टर साहब ने बात किया था. वी आर ट्रीटिंग ओबेसिटी पेशेंट्स वेरी नाइसली विदाउट गिविंग एनी ड्रग्स. हमारा पास रिकॉर्ड भी है. 25 किलो भी हमने कम कर दिया, 30 किलो भी कम किया, विदाउट गिविंग एनी ड्रग्स, थ्रू regulating the diet and changing the lifestyle. Simple methods. अभी रोहिणी में सेक्टर 19 में 20 बेड का हॉस्पिटल है. बहुत ओपीडी और आईपीडी दोनों हैं. और उसको, और हरियाणा में अभी 200 बेडेड हॉस्पिटल चालू हो गया. इट इज अबाउट टू इनॉग्रेटेड बाय द ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया. और कर्नाटक में बेंगलुरु को 120 किलोमीटर दूर में 200 बेडेड हॉस्पिटल है ये वाला. एंड वी ट्रीट रीनल डिसऑर्डर्स आल्सो. सो वी आर गेटिंग, जिसमें क्रिएटिन का लेवल इंक्रीज हो गया था. When I go to other hospitals, they're immediately advising them to go for dialysis, whereas we are taking up such cases without putting any dialysis, and where we are finding miraculous results without any drugs. So this is the nutshell regarding the naturopathy in the government as well as the private sector. And apart from that, we are undertaken extensive research on various disorders and standardizing the treatments, modalities, and diet also. And some of the new coming doctors are taking up the subject of food and nutrition, through which they want to treat the diseases purely on diet. One Praveen Jacob, he's from Kerala and settled in Karnataka. So extensively he's propagating, treating the diseases, various diseases, through diet and its regulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohan Roy. I think you kept the time limit there running because I was under attention for the next session to be. Any questions that are there from the audience for the panel there? The integrating healthcare the way forward, I think. मेरा लगाया हुआ है? Okay. So can I have my presentation? Okay. So I was given the topic of sugar, the next tobacco. We've heard Mr. Arun Jha talk about tobacco as an epidemic. And the new epidemic that is going to, or we are already there into it, is the sugar. And why is sugar the epidemic? Let me give you a small example of what we all face in life with the children around these days. As children, they want to eat outside, right? Everybody wants to take their children out. And these days, we are blessed with 1 or 2 children only. So we want to take them to the best MNC groups, could be McDonald's, could be Pizza Hut. And when we take them there, we've got them for a burger or for a pizza, is it? But the guy who's there at the back end, what does he tell us? The child, of course, wants for the burger some water to drink. That's required. But that hut or whatever Pizza Hut or whatever that is, McDonald's or whatever counter that is there, he'll not give you water. What does he give you? He gives you beverages. Okay? And why? That's a separate question. He gives you a beverage which is off also. He said, you get a beverage, you'll get 20% off. छोटा लेंगे 10 रुपए ऑफ, बड़ा लेंगे 50 रुपए ऑफ. He said, ठीक है पढ़ाई ले लो यार, बेटा खुश हो जाएगा. That is wrong, you know. That is really wrong. The second thing what he tells you is again, buy chips, potato wafers, we'll give you 20 rupees off again. Again, high sugar, high salt, these all are getting addicted to our children. And we as parents are not doing the right thing for them at this age. And that needs to change. And that is why my thought was, why not make a presentation on sugar, the new tobacco or the next tobacco that we are going to face now. Second slide, please. Next one. Did you know that in the future, sugar will be referred to as the new tobacco? And tobacco was indeed the market and the cigarettes were the product. Similarly, a couple of Dr. apps. But in today's modern industry, it is not food and beverages sector and to the components sugar, which is added to foods and beverages. And none other than Mr. Jain who talked about the FSSI role there. And they are really taking a very major role there, where they make sure that you do not get more than 10% of the sugar in that product which you're going to consume as per WHO guidelines. But that needs to also change around. Next slide. So this is the consumption of sugar that is happening. Everybody is going to take that, whether be a child, whether be adult, every one of us is taking extra sugar. You had your lunch there, you see the spread out is there. After a heavy meal, do you require that sugar? I think one of you of us must have only taken that sugary food. Nobody went through the meals around. It's not required. Because if you have that sugar, that's given you the calories that are required for the day's work. Next slide. And sugar, on the hand, is ingested in excess, can be damaging to the body. Now, why is it damaging to the body? You start from where you start taking it. Once you put it in your mouth, an extra amount of sugar, which is not required, basically, what Dr. Mandra was telling you about, sugar will cause your tooth decay to come in. It starts from there till it gets absorbed in the body and till it gets into the blood system and into your heart and everywhere else. So added sugar is also said to enter your system at a faster pace than natural sugar. So natural sugar which you take, whether it's fruits or vegetables or whatever form it is, in natural form. But in an added form, the sugar should be avoided as far as possible in our body. Next slide. But too much of added sugar is one of the leading causes of cardiovascular disease. So because you see, when you take in more sugar, the body does not require it. So some of it will be burnt down for the calories. The major amount would get converted to fats and which are going into that system. And again, with cause some atherosclerosis, that goes to your CVS system there. The next slide. The sugar stimulates the brain in a similar way to drug such as cocaine. And that is the evidence which has been created. And with this evidence, the companies are marketing, especially our young children there. And they target them with a high sugar food and a high salt food, which gives that kick in the brain. So once you get that, you want to come back again to the same place to have the similar drink or a similar type of food that is not required of the body. But yes, the brain tells you to take that. Next slide. So any sugar sweetened soft drinks and juices are considered to be dietary equivalents of cigarettes. So that is what it comes in, that when you take a fag or a cigarette or some other tobacco, right, that gives you a stimulation in the brain. Similar to that, the sugar is also doing a similar thing into your body. The next one. And recent studies have indicated that sugar like tobacco may be addictive. And that's the second problem that comes in. Like cigarettes are addictive. Any type of tobacco, whether a smokeless or a smoking form, is addictive. So once you're addictive, you cannot leave that early. It's very difficult to leave that stage around. And you don't require any license to sell it. And that is what the companies also try to market it with that product. You see, if you remember a few decades back, Dabur was a major company, was selling toothpaste around. And what did they do to market the toothpaste? They added tobacco to it. Lal Dant Manjan we know about. And tobacco adding was not cleaning the teeth. It was making people dependent on the Lal Dabur toothpaste there. And similarly, with these marketing companies, they are trying to market their products to our children. And we as adults or parents want to pamper them by giving those products and making them addictive to high sugary or high salt products. Next slide. So the breakdown of sugar produces glucose, which is the body's principal source of fuel. Now that is required when you're doing the work around, your brain is working, your heart is working, your body is working. Whatever you do, you require somewhat of fuel to do that. And ONGC, people know that. Director sir knows that anything without fuel cannot sustain. Any country requires fuel. Any human body will require fuel. But fuel of excess, which is not for the good for the ecosystem or not good for the body, will cause ultimately harm, because if it's quickly digested and turned to energy, it is okay. But if it stays in the body, then it leads to certain harms in the body itself. Next slide. So sugars can improve your mood immediately, and it's said that it triggers our brain's pleasure center, causing a rush of dopamine. And this is the problem that happens with the children with high sugar intake. Next slide. Last but not the least, it is said that sugars can help you think more effectively. So because it stimulates the brain with the dopamine coming in there, but that is for a temporary period of time. It's made you addictive to that product also. Next slide. So sugar will most likely referred to as a new tobacco, as you've seen there, during the future, and soft drink juices and added sugars are regarded as the dietary equivalent of cigarettes. In addition, one of the primary causes of diseases is too much added sugar. So too much added sugar is bad. That is what WHO also says, and that is what FSI also says. They try to regulate that sugar in each drink, in each product that is packaged and sold. And why do companies to add that sugar? Because as a preservative, high sugar foods are preserved better forms when you add sugar into that product there. Next slide. So next one. So next. The WHO advises not to use non-sugar sweeteners for weight control in newly released guidelines. So by saying that I'm not taking a sugar, I'm taking a tablet which is non-sugary, is not good also. Because ultimately that product or that chemical form of the sugar will cause somewhat of cancer or some of the disease there in your body in the times to come. And the next WHO calls on countries to reduce the sugar intake among adults and children with a maximum of 10% or reduce it to 5% of daily consumption. With that, I thank you so much for a pleasant hearing. And all the organizing of this workshop that we had or a conference there, I think the credit goes all to the CA, Deen Dayal Agarwal sir. I think a hand of applause. And today, it might be a Indian National Doctors Day also, but it happens to be a CA Day also for all the fraternity.
Thank you,
so
Dr.
much, sir.
I think this session is very much chaired by Dr. Mehra.
एक छोटा सा अपील है CSR रिसर्च फाउंडेशन को। अभी तक जो इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज है नेचुरोपैथी को तो एक पॉलिसी नहीं बना रहा था। आई शैल बी थैंकफुल if this CSR can recommend naturopathy system to include under the health policy system.
लेकिन मुझे जहाँ तक ख्याल है, जैसे मेरी नॉलेज है कि मेरे जहाँ घर है उसके पास में एक हॉस्पिटल है, घोसा हॉस्पिटल, वो नेचुरोपैथी के ही इलाज करता है। इट्स कवर अंडर CGHS स्कीम्स।
CGHS is different sir.
अच्छा,
प्राइवेट वाला CGHS वाला जो है सर।
हाँ, लेकिन आप किस पॉलिसी में डालने चाहिए?
प्राइवेट वाला सर, LIC वाला हो गया।
अच्छा, इसमें ठीक है। तो we will try, we will give a representative to the IRDA, इंश्योरेंस रेगुलेटरी डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी जो है उसको देंगे। आप एक बार बना के देंगे तो हम भेज देंगे। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। नो डाउट मुझे लगता है कि डॉक्टर मेहरा ने बहुत अच्छा इस सेशन को संचालित किया, चेयर किया, और नो डाउट अब हमारी ड्यूटी है कि इन सबको हम सम्मानित करें। और मैं चाहूँगा कि आशीष त्रिपाठी जी से कि वो आए और एक मोमेंटो अरुण जी को दे। अरुण कुमार झा जी को प्रेजेंट करें। अरुण कुमार झा जी से आप पूरे दिन रहे थे जी, सलूट जाता है। एक बार जो साथियों से बात है, थैंक यू। हाँ सर आइए आप। ललित जी आप भी आओ ना, महावीर जी भी आए। थैंक यू अरुण कुमार झा जी। नाउ यू रिक्वेस्ट डॉक्टर अशोक शर्मा जी वो आए और डॉक्टर देवाशीष शर्मा जी को एक स्मृति चिन्ह देके सम्मानित करें। थैंक यू। और आज के हमारे इस सेशन के चेयरमैन डॉक्टर प्रेम सोमयाल जी का स्वागत करेंगे। डॉक्टर प्रतिभा आप आइए आगे। और क्योंकि ये सुबह से हमारा ये जितने भी वीआईपी आए हैं उनका इंटरव्यू ले रही है और नो डाउट बहुत अच्छा इंटरव्यू लिया है बहुत से लोगों का। तो एक बार डॉक्टर साहब का सम्मान आप इसको बुलाओ। हमारे बीच में श्री आर के जैन जी हैं जो एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर एफएसएसआई के हैं। और मुझे लगता है कि हमने कोशिश की थी कि इस प्रोग्राम में कहीं ना कहीं फूड हैबिट्स का जो एक टॉपिक रहता है, बहुत सारी प्यारी फूड हैबिट्स ही होती हैं, तो एफएसएसआई का रोल क्या होगा। मुझे लगता है कि उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा बोला और कहीं ना कहीं हम उसमें आगे फायदा होगा हमें। मैं चाहूँगा आप प्रणव माहेश्वरी जी है, चलेगा क्या? अच्छा कोई बात नहीं। डॉक्टर नीलम आप आए। क्या होता है कि हमारे जो स्पीकर्स हैं बड़ी दूर दूर से आते हैं, बड़ा टाइम निकालते हैं, क्योंकि सभी हुए हैं तो इनका भी सम्मान करें तो हमें चलता है। एक बार जोरदार तालियों से। थैंक यू नीलम जी। अब डॉक्टर अजय कुमार चौधरी जी। वैसे तो भाई साहब का जो सेशन था फर्स्ट सेशन था, लेकिन बाहर से आए हमारा उन्होंने कहा मैं आऊँगा जरूर, चाहे वो लेट आऊँ। तो बहुत बड़ी हमारे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है कि उन्होंने अपना बिजली शेड्यूल सामने निकाला। उनके लिए मैं चाहूँगा कि डॉक्टर विशाखा जी, सॉरी मैं विशाला जी। अजय चौधरी जी का है बेटा नाम? फर्स्ट सेशन बताओ। फर्स्ट सेशन थैंक यू सर। और नो डाउट जो नेचुरोपैथी की वाली बात हुई थी, और मुझे ऐसा आइडिया नहीं था कि ये इंश्योरेंस में कवर होता नहीं होता, लेकिन डिजीज में कवर होता है। लेकिन आप आइए, डॉक्टर मोहन राव जी का हम स्वागत करेंगे। इसके लिए डॉक्टर माधुरी ये आप सब जितने भी डॉक्टर हैं ये सब डॉक्टर मेहरा जी की टीम है। बना हुआ है। थैंक यू। सभी ने अच्छा बोला और हमें लगता है कि भविष्य में भी हम आपका आप सभी लोगों को हमें सहयोग मिले, हम ऐसी कामना करते हैं। और सीएसआर सेल्फ फाउंडेशन आपका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता है। सभी से कहूँगा एक ग्रुप फोटो के लिए आप इधर आ जाए, ललित जी, महावर जी और अशोक जी, आप भी आ जाइएगा ग्रुप फोटो। सर एक बार ग्रुप फोटो लीजिए। थैंक यू सभी। अब हमारा ये लास्ट सेशन है, फोर्थ सेशन। हमारे भी दीदी हैं, आप ब्रह्म कुमारी जो एक संस्थान है बहुत बड़ा, उसमें एक स्पिरिचुअल के नाते हैं, आप मंच पे आइए। आपसे गुजारिश करूंगा कि मंच पे आए। डॉक्टर विशाल सिंह जी, आप दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से प्रोफेसर हैं। डॉक्टर प्रतिमा गुहा जी और डॉक्टर एसपी सिंह जी। मैं हमारे अध्यक्ष जो बीपी मावर जी हैं उनसे गुजारिश करूंगा कि इस सेशन को हम मर्ज कर रहे हैं वैलिडिटी साथ में, तो अभी इस आप कर लो ठीक है। तो मावर जी से मैं गुजारिश करूंगा कि इस लास्ट सेशन को आप चेयर कर लें, और साथ ही साथ अगर इसको वैलिडिटी में भी कन्वर्ट कर देंगे बाद में। ठीक है।
ओम शांति। सभी एक बार मेरे साथ बहुत प्यार से बोलेंगे, ओम शांति।
ओम शांति।
मंच पर उपस्थित एवं सभा में उपस्थित सरलता, सहजता एवं दिव्यता की प्रतिमूर्ति हमारे आज के मुख्य, आप सभी का यहाँ पे स्वागत है। भारत देश की मिट्टी, कहते हैं भारत देश की मिट्टी मेरे माथे का चंदन है। भारत देश की मिट्टी मेरे माथे का चंदन है। आज उपस्थित यहाँ पे सभी मान्यवर, आप सभी का अभिनंदन है, आप सभी का अभिनंदन है। अभी यहाँ पे उपस्थित हम ऐसा समझे कि ये एक हमारा परिवार है ना। किसको किसको लग रहा है कि हम प्रोग्राम में आए हैं? अच्छा, नहीं लग रहा। अच्छा, किसको किसको लग रहा है कि हम परिवार के बीच में बैठे हैं? वो जरा हाथ उठाएंगे तो एक बार इस परिवार के लिए ताली हो जाए जोर से। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं हम। सबसे पहले 3 मिनट का मेडिटेशन। तो मैं अभी जैसे जैसे आपको आपके सामने जो बोलती जाऊंगी, आप सब वैसा वैसा सोचते जाइएगा। मेरे साथ रिपीट नहीं करना है, केवल आपको सोचना है। और हम अभी चलते एक ऐसी दुनिया में, जो हमारा आज का विषय है, स्पिरिचुअलिटी एंड मेडिटेशन। वास्तव में स्पिरिचुअलिटी क्या है? आज हम देखते हैं हम बाह्य दुनिया में बहुत व्यस्त हो चुके हैं कि हमारे पास अपने भीतर की दुनिया के लिए आज वक्त नहीं है। आज इंसान के मुख से ये सुन के बड़ा अजीब लगता है कि मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है। हो सकता है कि टाइम ना हो, आप जैसे डॉक्टर्स की लाइफ तो बहुत बिजी होती है, लेकिन फिर भी हमें ये बिजी शब्द यूज़ नहीं करना है। अगर हम इसकी जगह ये यूज़ करें कि आई एम ईजी, हो सकता है? नहीं, बिजी तो है बहुत, लेकिन बिजी में भी हमें इजी रहना है। क्योंकि अगर हम इजी रहेंगे तो हम जिनको ट्रीटमेंट देंगे, जिनका हम इलाज करेंगे, जिसके निमित्त भगवान ने बनाया है, तो वो ऑटोमेटिक इजी हो जाएंगे। तो हमें क्या करना है? आई एम नॉट बिजी, हो सकता है? हाँ हाँ जी, हो सकता है, हो सकता है। ऐसा कोई काम ही नहीं है जो ना हो सकता हो। और ये तो केवल हमें सोचना है। स्पिरिचुअलिटी की दुनिया में चलना है आज तो हमें। तो इसके ऊपर एक बहुत सुंदर कहानी है। एक बारी एक व्यक्ति ने अपने घर में संत को बुलाया, और वो जो संत थे वो बहुत ही ऊंचे, बहुत ही जाने माने, बहुत ही तपस्वी। तो जब संत उनके घर में आए, अभी कार्यविधि जो शुरू ही की थी अभी तो, और तुरंत वहां पे भूकंप आ गया। और भूकंप आ गया तो जो व्यक्ति के घर में आए हुए थे, वो व्यक्ति कहता है, अरे सब लोग बाहर भागो, सब लोग भागो यहाँ से, कुछ हो सकता है, भूकंप आ रहा है। इसलिए सब लोग भागने लगे। संत को भी बोला, अरे महात्मा जी, आप यहाँ बैठ के क्या कर रहे हैं, चलिए भागिए, कहीं छत तुम्हारे सर पे ही ना आके गिर जाए, आप बाहर चलिए। लेकिन संत थे कि सुनने का नाम ही नहीं ले रहे थे। वो आंखें बंद करके एकदम मस्त अपनी तपस्या में लगे हुए थे। फिर उस व्यक्ति ने सोचा कि ये संत अगर यहाँ बैठ सकता है तो क्या मैं नहीं यहाँ पे बैठ सकता, ये तो यहाँ से जा ही नहीं रहे कहीं। तो उसने निर्णय लिया कि मैं भी यहीं बैठूंगा। अगर ऐसे इतने महान व्यक्ति के साथ बैठ के अगर मुझे प्राण भी छोड़ने पड़ जाएं तो भी कुछ ही नहीं है, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, इसमें तो मेरा पुण्य जमा होगा। ऐसा सोच के वो बैठ गया और थोड़ी देर में भूकंप शांत हो गया। उसके बाद उस व्यक्ति ने पूछा, महात्मा जी, सब लोग जब बाहर भाग रहे थे तो आप क्यों नहीं भागे उठ के? तो महात्मा जी ने बहुत सुंदर उत्तर दिया कि जब सब लोग बाहर भाग रहे थे तो मैं अपने अंदर भाग रहा था। तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी यहां से शुरू होती है। जहां हमें लगता है कि यहाँ पे अब हमें बाहर भागना है, बाहर भागना है, आज देखा जाए तो हम पूरा टाइम क्या करते हैं, बाहर की दुनिया में ही जीते हैं, कभी अपने लिए वक्त नहीं निकाला। तो आज हम चलते हैं अपने अंतर मन की दुनिया। तो सभी एकदम स्थिर होके बैठ जाए, रिलैक्स होके, आंखें बंद कर लें और थोड़ी देर के लिए इधर उधर सब बातें भुला के केवल अपने अंतर चक्षु के ऊपर ध्यान दें। देखें, मस्तक पर तिलक लगाने वाले स्थान में एक सितारा चमक रहा है। बहुत ही चमकदार, बहुत ही लाइट, ये मैं हूं। एनर्जी जो इस शरीर में बैठ के इसको चला रही है, ये मैं हूं। स्वयं से बातें करें, ऐ मेरे मन, तो क्या सोच रहे हो? जरा सोच कर तो देखो, भगवान के दिल में तुम्हें स्वच्छ हीरा बनाने की कितनी तीव्र अभिलाषा है। क्या तुम भगवान की भावनाओं को देखते हुए उनकी भावनाओं का सम्मान करते हो? हे आत्मन, जरा सोच कर तो देखो, जिसने तुम्हें ये जीवन दान दिया, जिसने अपने आशीर्वाद का हाथ तुम्हारे सर पे रखा, तुम्हारे जीवन में जिस प्यारे पिता के अनगिनत एहसान हैं, और वो पिता तुम्हें कैसे देखना चाहता है? तुम्हें क्या से क्या देखना चाहता है। इसलिए उठो, जागो और अपने अंतर जगत के यात्रा के लिए चल पड़ो। मेरा अंतर जगत अति शांत, अति शांत। मैं शांत स्वरूप आत्मा हूं। शांति मेरा धर्म है। शांति मेरा ओरिजिनल नेचर है। शांति मेरा स्वरूप है। शांति रियल है। खो जाएं अपने अंतर मन की दुनिया में। ओम शांति। अभी अपने नेत्र खोले। तो ऐसे अपने अंतर जगत का सैर अगर हम दिन भर में बीच बीच में समय निकाल के, बीच बीच में समय निकालना तो मुश्किल नहीं है, क्योंकि हम बीच बीच में पानी, चाय, खाना ये तो लेते हैं, है ना। ऐसे ही जब भी पानी पीना है, भोजन करना है, तो उस वक्त आप 1 मिनट अपने आप को याद दिलाइए कि आप कौन हैं। वहीं से हमारे अंतर जगत की सैर शुरू हो जाती है। और मैं रियल हूं। आज हमें लगता है कि जीवन में सब ठीक तो चल रहा है, सब कुछ तो ओके है, फिर हमें लाइफ में स्पिरिचुअलिटी की जरूरत क्यों है। आता है ना कई बारी मन में कि जब कर लेंगे, आगे कर लेंगे, अभी टाइम थोड़ी ना है। लेकिन इसके लिए कोई टाइम नहीं होता, इसके लिए कोई एज नहीं होती, इसके लिए कोई साल नहीं होता। इसके लिए केवल मैं चाहिए। मैं कौन? मैं इस शरीर को चलाने वाली शक्ति। थोड़ी समय के लिए बस उसको याद करना है। अभी हम एक छोटी सी एक्सरसाइज करते हैं। आप सभी अपने अपने जगह पे खड़े हो जाइए और 2-2 के ग्रुप बना लीजिए। बहनें बहनों के साथ, भाई भाइयों के साथ। परिवार में आए हैं ना, 2-2 का ग्रुप हो जाए। हो गए सभी? अच्छा, अभी आप में से एक को जोर से मुट्ठी बंद करनी है। आप में से एक जना कोई भी जोर से मुट्ठी बंद कीजिए और दूसरे को मुट्ठी खोलनी है। और आपको खोलने नहीं देनी है, आपको खोलने नहीं देनी है। करिए प्लीज, बहुत अच्छी एक्सरसाइज है। आपको खोलने नहीं देनी है किसी हाल में भी। अच्छा, किसने किसने खोल दी? अच्छा, खोल भी दी, बाकी सब अभी नहीं खोली। ओके। अच्छा, तो अब इस छोटी सी एक्सरसाइज से आपने क्या सीखा? अभी जब मैंने बोला कि दूसरे को मुट्ठी खोलनी है, एक को क्या करना था? मुट्ठी बंद करना था, और जो दूसरे को मुट्ठी खोलनी थी। अब जिसको मुट्ठी खोलनी थी उसको लगा कि पूरी ताकत लगा दे, है ना, और जिसकी मुट्ठी बंद थी अब उसको थोड़ा क्या आ गया, मुझे खोलने नहीं देनी, तो क्या आ गया, थोड़ा ईगो आ गया, आ गया। इसी तरह से हम लाइफ में भी करते हैं। अभी एक और एक्सरसाइज, अभी आप अपने साथी को कहिए कि आप बहुत अच्छे हैं, एक दूसरे की तरफ देखिए, हाथ मिलाइए, गले मिलिए, वाह मेरे साथी, आप जैसा दोस्त कहाँ है इस दुनिया में, आप सबसे बेस्ट हो। दोनों ही एक दूसरे को बोलिए आप सबसे बेस्ट हो। अभी कैसा लगा? अभी मित्रता का भाव आ गया ना, तो दोनों में ही क्या है, अभी आप बैठ सकते हैं। थैंक यू। तो इन दोनों ही एक्सरसाइज से हमने ये सीखा कि जब मुट्ठी बंद की थी तो हमें थोड़ा ईगो जाग गई अंदर, है ना, कि हमें कैसे नहीं खुलने देंगे। ऐसी लाइफ में बहुत सारे सिचुएशन आते हैं तो हम सोचते हैं कैसे नहीं करने देंगे, हम भी देखते हैं। तो जब ये वाली फीलिंग आ जाती है हम भी देखते हैं, बस वहीं पे हमारी सारी एनर्जी डाउन हो जाती है। और जब हमने दूसरी एक्सरसाइज की, आप बहुत अच्छे हैं, आपके जैसा दोस्त तो दुनिया में कोई नहीं है ना, तो उससे क्या हुआ, यहीं से पता चलता है कि हमें लाइफ में स्पिरिचुअलिटी की जरूरत कहाँ पे है। अब इन दोनों सिचुएशन में से लाइफ में ज्यादा कौन सी आती है, दूसरी वाली कि पहली वाली? पहली वाली आती है। दूसरी भी आती है लेकिन वो बहुत कम आती है। वो तब आती है जब सामने वाला पहले वो शुरुआत करे, वो बोले पहले आप बहुत अच्छे हो, फिर मैं बोलूंगी। तो हमें हमेशा ही एक दूसरे से एक्सपेक्टेशन रहती है, पहले ये पहले ये। आप सब जानते हैं जैसे एक मोबाइल की बैटरी अगर डिस्चार्ज हो जाए तो आप क्या करते हैं उसको, क्या करते हैं उसको, सबको मालूम है, उसको चार्जिंग पे लगाना है। लेकिन आप चार्जिंग पे ना लगा के आपने उस डिस्चार्ज बैटरी को दूसरी डिस्चार्ज बैटरी से जोड़ दिया, तो क्या होगा, बैटरी चार्ज होगी? क्या होगा, आपकी थोड़ी बहुत बची हुई बैटरी भी ना वो भी चली जाएगी। ऐसे जब हम ये सोचते हैं ना कि पहले ये करे, हो सकता है दूसरा व्यक्ति भी यही सोच रहा हो कि पहले ये करे। इसलिए हमेशा लाइफ में पहल किसको करनी है, मुझे करनी, क्योंकि स्पिरिचुअलिटी में सबसे पहले मैं आता है, दुनिया में भी सबसे पहले मैं आता है, लेकिन उस मैं में थोड़ा अलग फर्क है दोनों में। जब हम अंदर की दुनिया में बोलते पहले मैं, तो उसमें एक शुद्ध भावनाएं जागती। बाहर की दुनिया में अगर आप कहेंगे ना पहले आप, तो वहां प्यार बढ़ेगा। वहां अगर कहेंगे पहले मैं, तो रिश्ते टूट जाएंगे। इसी तरह से अंतर जगत की दुनिया में अगर आप कहेंगे कि पहले मैं, तो आपके रिश्ते जुड़ जाएंगे। इसलिए अगर किसी को प्यार बांटना है दुनिया में तो पहले किसको करना है, पहले मैं। शांति बांटनी है दुनिया में तो सबसे पहले मैं, ठीक है, क्योंकि सामने वाले पहले से ही डिस्चार्ज बैटरी है, वो आपका वेट कर रही है। आप स्टार्ट करिए और उससे नहीं हो पा रहा तो आपसे वो अपेक्षा रख के बैठी हुई है। तो हमें क्या करना है, हमें शुरुआत करनी है, हमें सबको बांटना है, क्योंकि कहते जो बांटेंगे वही हमें मिलता है। अगर हम जमीन में देखिए आम का बीज अगर बोते हैं तो क्या मिलेगा हमें, आम का फल मिलेगा। है ना? और जितना अच्छे से आप उसकी सेवा करेंगे उतना अच्छा आएगा। इसी तरह से आप देते जाइए, क्योंकि हम एक ऐसी धरती पे बैठे हैं जो देव संस्कृति जहाँ पे शुरू से ही चलती आई है। भारतीय संस्कृति देव संस्कृति है। इसलिए देखिए यहाँ पे तो छोटे छोटे पशु पक्षी सबका ध्यान रखा जाता है ना? क्या करते, घर के ऊपर कटोरा भर के रखते हैं ना, कहते पक्षी लोग पानी पिएंगे, पशुओं के लिए भी सबका ध्यान रखते हैं। क्यों? यहीं से पता चलता है, छोटी छोटी चीजों से पता चलता है कि हमारी भारतीय संस्कृति देव संस्कृति है। तो इसलिए हमें देना कैसे, जरूरी नहीं आप हाथों से दें, मन से भी दे सकते हैं, है ना? आप किसी को अपने कर्मों से भी दे सकते हैं। जब देखते हैं सामने पेशेंट होता है, तो उस वक्त जब हम एक पेशेंट को नंबर से बुलाते हैं तो पेशेंट क्या हो जाता है, थोड़ा डाउन नंबर से। लेकिन अगर पेशेंट को नाम से बुलाया जाए, उसकी आधी बीमारी तो वैसे ही चली जाती है ना? देखिए एक बारी क्या हुआ, सारा कुछ बीमारी सब कुछ हमारे सोचने से है। एक बारी एरोप्लेन में एक डॉक्टर और उनकी वाइफ दोनों ही कहीं जा रहे थे। तो जो उनकी वाइफ थी वो हार्ट पेशेंट थी। अब उनको अचानक हार्ट का जैसे पेन होने लगा एरोप्लेन के अंदर ही। तो उन्होंने बोला डॉक्टर साहब आपके पास कोई दवाई है, मेरे को अभी लग रहा है कि दिक्कत ना हो जाए ज़्यादा। बोले हाँ है। तो उन्होंने एक छोटी सी गोली निकाली और बोला कि इसको अपनी जीभ के नीचे रख लो और अंदर मत लेके जाना, बस जीभ के नीचे रख लो, थोड़ी देर में आराम आ जाएगा। तो उन्होंने ऐसे किया। 10 मिनट बाद कहती डॉक्टर साहब इतनी अच्छी दवाई दी आपने, इतनी अच्छी दवाई दी, मेरे तो आराम आ गया। कह रहे अच्छा चल अब मेरा टी शर्ट का बटन वापस कर दे, है ना? अब बताइए, कोई दवाई नहीं थी, लेकिन उसको क्या लग रहा था कि दवाई तो सही कैसे हुई, सही हुई वो खुद, है ना? तो कहते हैं हम ठीक होना बीमार होना ये सब हमारे ऊपर होता है। जितना हमारा मन स्वस्थ है हमारा जीवन भी स्वस्थ है। जितने हमारे विचारों में मजबूती है उतना ही हमारे शरीर में भी मजबूती रहेगी। इसलिए डॉक्टर्स का ये मूल कर्तव्य है ना, कि जब उनके पास पेशेंट आते हैं तो उसको क्या करना है, माने बीमार से बीमार को भी उसको ठीक करके भेजना, यही उद्देश्य है ना। तो उसको अगर हम थोड़ा सा तारीफ कर देते, जैसे डॉक्टर अगर कह दे पेशेंट को, अच्छा भला पेशेंट माना उतना भी बीमारी नहीं थी, अगर उसको ये बोल दिया आपके ब्लड में ना थोड़ी अभी ये कमी आ रही है, तो बेचारा जब बाहर निकलेगा कैसे निकलेगा, मरा मरा सा। आया तो बड़ा एक्टिव होके था लेकिन अभी गया कैसे, एकदम मरा मरा सा। लेकिन अगर कितनी खराब बात भी है ना, तो भी डॉक्टर अगर एक बार ये बोल देते हैं ना, अरे वाह आपके ब्लड पता है इतना अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छा हो ना भले, लेकिन उसको खुशी दिलाने के लिए क्या किया, हाँ एक बार उसके अंदर एनर्जी भर दी, तो वो कितना ही बीमार लड़खड़ाता हुआ आया था लेकिन जाएगा कैसे, एक्टिव हो गया। अरे वाह मेरा तो ब्लड, तो माना उसके अंदर भी एक अच्छी एनर्जी आ जाएगी, है ना, एक अच्छा सोच आ जाएगी। तो इसी तरह यही सेवा है और यही सेवा हम सबको दुआएं दिलाती है। अच्छा इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ बहुत बहुत थैंक्स।
तो आप सभी को अच्छा अच्छा सोचना है तो अच्छे रहेंगे, तो डॉक्टर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी अब। नहीं रियली फैक्ट है ये, इफ यू थिंक पॉजिटिव चीजें सब हो जाती हैं। वो मेरा भी एक्सपीरियंस है एक्चुअली। So that is the. Now the next speaker is with Dr. Vishal Singh, Delhi School of Public Health, University of Delhi. He'll be talking about holistic wellness and preventive healthcare. So, Dr. Vishal.
Thank you. My presentation is little bit different. I'm going to present my little bit research about neurodegenerative diseases, which is happening from protein misfolding and aggregation, and use of the technology like computers is daily usage. Next slide. This is the little bit data in India. What is the prevalence of neurodegenerative diseases? It is expected around 2025. It is second most leading diseases. This is neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer disease, Parkinson diseases, and multiple sclerosis and Huntington disease. These all are the late onset diseases in human, mostly occurring after 60 years of age. So we are going to take little bit detail about what is the neurodegenerative diseases in our body. Whatever we eat, it will take go to the protein unfolded form. After that, it go to the folded form. With at the folded form, the protein do the function. After the folding form, after the very late onset, around 60 years of age, it will go to the misfolded stage. Misfolded stage is that when the change of the pH of our body, change of the intake of water, lack of exercise, whatever, all the means lack of exercise, the protein go to the misfolded state. At this stage, protein will do unfunction. They didn't do the function, and the neurodegenerative diseases will occur in our body. And after that case, the protein aggregated and also gives the many diseases. And this protein folding, misfolding, and aggregation, we can see from this energy landscape theory, where we can see that when this minima will occur, this give the protein native state. Native state means protein do the function. All the body exercise will work, means all the exercise and all our regulatory function will do fine. But after a certain age, this this native protein will go to the misfolded stage. Misfolded stage. At this stage, there is a lot of diseases will occur. So according to this, we make a very simple picture in within two schemes. This is first we go to the scheme one. Here we can see that whatever we can eat from our dietary habit, it will go to the pool of amino acid. After that, it give the protein, length of the protein, linear form. After a microsecond to the millisecond, it will go to the folded form. It folded form do the function, and after a certain age, it will go to the misfolded form, and we can see that the misfolded form will degrade, means it will remove from our body, and this process will going to the continue. This is called protein turnover mechanism. But after a long age, around 70 or 80 years of age, this misfolded protein is not degraded because this lack of pH, unhealthy diet, dietary habit, our lifestyle, all these phenomena, it will go to the aggregate. This misfolded form will collapse to each other and give the aggregates, and this aggregate will further not degrade, which is very less rate, and this aggregate give the disease. This is our scheme 2. This is we call the protein turnover mechanism. And above that, this is the very simplest form of this scheme 2, this unfolded protein, native protein, and misfolded protein. So based on these two schemes, we do the some mathematical study and compare our results. So here we can see that when the protein mechanism means our regular exercise we can do, then the disease farm age means at that time when the disease will propagate is very high. This is around 1 into 10 to the power I think 10, it is 650 years. But after a certain time, it continuously decreases and it gives a constant value. This constant value is related to the 70 years. This is for the only for the specific protein. This is alpha lactalbumin. This is found in the milk. So if this protein will misfold, this will give the age of onset, age of appearance is 74 years. Means if this protein will misfold, at that 75 here, you will get the disease form. And if we go to the more detail in this, so till now the medical science give the age of appearance, means at the age of third stage, we can say the age of aggregation or the protein misfolding third stage. This is the third stage, age of appearance. But in through this study, we studies what is the age of onset, means at that time when the protein will start propagate for the misfolded diseases, means we can say the starting of age first. So through this study, this is the complete mathematical study, we found the what is the age of onset at which the protein will start misfolding. And here we can see the data of Alzheimer disease, Parkinson disease, and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis disease, and we find the age of appearance. This age of appearance is vary from different for the different proteins. This is for the misfolded protein, and for the aggregation protein also there is no difference between aggregation and the misfolding, because once the misfolded protein will form, it will go directly to the aggregated form. So there is no age of appearance difference between the age protein misfolding and the aggregation. But as there is a one clinical data for the Parkinson disease, and we compare our result with this data and found a very good agreement for this our study. So this data is what is the literature value and what is the age of onset and the age of appearance from two different approaches. We found that, and this is a very good agreement. Use of technology. Right now, though, the most advanced technology it use is the mathematical study. Everything is based on the mathematics. Like whatever we use in computer, it is based on the mathematics. So here we found, means we study in two approaches. One is the theoretical approach. This is the based completely mathematical study, analytical study, and other is computational study. We can see that this computational study also based on the any type of computational study based on this mathematical study. Whatever earlier slides we have shown, this is the theoretical approach, and other is computational approach. So I am going to give the just a little bit idea what is the computational approach. We are thinking, we are sitting in this room, a big room. In our body, also the protein is sitting in the in constraint environment, maintain of temperature, pH, and other constraint. So in computer, we make a virtual box and put each the proteins, pH, concentration, and heterogeneity, viscoelasticity, and all the environment. We can say that we put an environment kind of condition in a virtual box, and we will simulate like this. And we know it is a random process. After a certain time, when the energy of the system is stabilized, we analyze this system and see what is the nature of the protein, what is the nature of diseases, and all these things. This is the totally computational based study, and from this study, it again we can see that this computational study are also based on the mathematical model. From these figures, we can say that from protein is going from one state to the another state. This we can see from this whatever we box we made in the computer, and after a long run, we can say a long programming, like we can say that depend upon 3 months, 4 months, depending upon the speed of the computer. And here we can see that in Alzheimer disease, only one or two protein is responsible for the Alzheimer disease, tau protein and the amyloid beta protein. So this data is based on the amyloid beta protein. So here we can see that we can see at two minima. This minima U and M. U is the complete unfolded form when whatever we add the protein will form, and after a long simulation we can say that it will stuck in another minima. Here we can say this black one, this black misfolded one, it energy is lower than this unfolded state, and it is theoretical and experimental and naturally proven that lesser the energy, stability is more. Misfolded protein is more stable for this one. And further work we are doing to deploy this minima in one. If these two minima will come to a one minima, then this protein misfolded will disappear, and we are successful to make the drug for the Alzheimer disease. Although it is a long process, but eventually we can try. So with this, I am going to end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. It was a bit difficult, but I could understand one thing. You do exercise, yoga regularly, otherwise you'll have a misfolding of protein within you. So I think, I don't know whether I'm right or not wrong. But I could understood that they are doing this exercise for developing medicines. They're doing a good job, I think. I compliment for this excellent presentation. So I call Dr. Paramita Guha, Senior Scientist, CSIR, and she will also talk about AI and technology, the way forward. Yeah.
यहाँ पे डाल सकते हैं प्रेजेंटेशन ऑन 1 जुलाई ऐसे करके प्रेजेंटेशन और फोल्डर उसमें प्रेजेंटेशन ठीक है मैं आऊँ Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Doctors' Day. Also, happy CS Day to all of you. So, the topic of our discussion today is AI in healthcare. This is a bit different, whatever is being discussed further till now. I'm not a doctor. I'm an engineer. Basically, I'm an electrical engineer. I have done my electrical engineering and now doing data science. So, all of us have heard the name AI, that is artificial intelligence. This term is very popular nowadays. But first of all, let us discuss what is artificial intelligence and how it is different from human intelligence. Intelligence means the capacity to learn and solve the problems efficiently. But as you know that we consider that human beings are the most intelligent creature in the world, and whatever we think, whatever we see and hear, our brain processes those signals and act accordingly. But it may so happen that sometimes we are having a large number of data, and it is not possible for a human brain to analyze that data efficiently and take out information, missing information. So what people do, that they have developed some intelligent system using machines and machine algorithms, so that the human brain's activities can be done by that system, And also it can solve the problems easily and act rapidly and act like human brains. So it is an intelligent system. Since it has been developed by human being, that's why it is known as artificial intelligence. It has started long back in the year 1950, and in the year 1955, John McCarthy had named it as artificial intelligence, and it has started from those years. And in the year 1980, it was termed as the year of AI, and it has achieved landmark in the year 2000. Now it is boom. You name one area, you'll find application of AI there, like healthcare, gaming, e-commerce, engineering, healthcare. Everywhere you'll find the application of AI. Nowadays, you must have heard one term that is known as ChatGPT and also OpenAI. There, the backbones are artificial intelligence, and it is said that ChatGPT is going to eat up the jobs, like many jobs, white collar job, blue collar jobs, those jobs will be ended. And the creativity of human minds may be affected with the help of, because of ChatGPT. Anyways, there are advantages and disadvantages of every software. So let us look into the advantages of this software first. And before that, let me give you a very brief about different types of AI. In the field of AI, there are some terms which are used very simultaneously, like AI, NN, that is neural network, machine learning, etc. So this is the relationship among AI, NN, machine learning, and all those things. Everything will handle data science, data mining, and when we are solving some problem using artificial intelligence, it means that we need to develop some algorithms using machines. And those are known as machine learning, because we are training our system, we are learning means we are training the systems so that it can act accordingly, whatever we are wanting. So, and also there is another sophisticated term known as deep neural network. It will act as our human brain. It will go into the intricate details of each and every algorithm or intricate details of some data and take out the missing information. So these are the terms which are used simultaneously, but they are different from each other. And so machine learning, this is the backbone of any AI, and it can be classified into several categories like supervised learning, unsupervised. I won't go into the details, but I'll give you very brief what is what. And another term is known as reinforcement learning. Supervised learning means it is the relationship between teacher and student. Means, let me say a teacher, a teacher is teaching a small boy that, see, this is the picture of a cow, this is the picture of a dog. So after some time, when if any unknown picture is given or unknown animal is shown to that boy, he can automatically recognize, no ma'am, this is the picture of a cow, this is not a picture of a dog. So this is termed as supervised learning. Means we are training the algorithm so that with known inputs and known outputs first. Once the model is trained, then we'll give the inputs with unknown outputs, but based on its previous experiences, it can say, yes, this is dog, this is cat, this is hen, this is the thing. Another term that is known as unsupervised learning, it is here the outputs are unknown from the first phase only, but it can train itself based on its experiences and also hit and trial method. This is one method. And another one is reinforced learning. Reinforced learning means we'll choose the best among the lot and punish the weaker parts. So in that way, these are the training, machine learning algorithms work. But generally, this supervised learning is the most popular one and easier one also, because here we are training the algorithms first with the known data set. Once the model is trained, then we'll go with the unknown data. So where do the AI or ML algorithms used in healthcare? It is used everywhere, like diagnosis, early detection, decision making, treatment, research training everywhere. Name it, everywhere, in every sector of healthcare it has been used. These are the some companies I have named here only, major companies which are using AI in medical sciences. Now, these are the applications of pharmaceutical industry where AI is used, like product development, manufacturing, QA, QC, drug delivery, so almost everywhere. Now the drug discovery also, AI is is playing very important role, like drug repurposing, drug design, synthesis, screening, everything and everywhere AI is being used, and it is working very efficiently. Now, disease detection and diagnosis. It can be used in the detection and diagnosis of almost all diseases like heart disease, diabetes, liver disease, dengue, hepatitis, oral cancer detection, early screening of cancers. Everywhere we can use. I'll show you some of my results, some initial results where we are trying to classify or screen whether a person is having some GC or oral cancer, or whether that person is normal. That's some results I'll show you here after a few slides. During the time of COVID, AI and robotics played very important role, like public safety, sanitization, cleaning, clinical safety, then social distancing, food delivery, everywhere robotics and AI played very role. If you design a robot, then also you need to implement AI there, okay, algorithms there. But all the things means have advantages, also disadvantages. Like for the challenges involved in AI and healthcare is that privacy and data security. Since AI handles lots of data, so that those data should be protected with some with proper cryptographic algorithms. Privacy of the patient data should be maintained, and acceptance from the medical fraternity is very important. So it means that no one can go separately when we are designing some algorithm. So the acceptance from your side is also important. We can generate results, but we do not understand what are the things it is giving me. So the acceptance, approval, and help from the medical fraternity is very important. And most of all, and also that ethical clearance is important. Now, these are the few works which we have done at NPL. Some are initiated, we have got some results, and there are some things also have to be improved. Like during the time of COVID also, we developed predictive models of spreading of COVID in different states of India. And presently we are working in the identification of gastric cancer and oral cancer using ML techniques. Now, this is one thing which we had done during our during the COVID tenure. We had collected COVID data from various states of India, and then we had collected confirmed, cured, and death cases also. And then we tried to find out reasons behind those different numbers of cases in different states, and also an improved long short-term memory algorithm had been developed to forecast the virus spread and recovery of patients for next 6 months. This paper had been published in the year 2021, and we had seen whatever we had developed, whatever results we had obtained in this paper, the trend was almost same. So it means that we didn't get very bad results. So now the next one which we are working now, that is the identification of GC based on endoscopic images and CBC data using ML. Here, as you know that gastric cancer is very prevalent in worldwide. So we try to develop some algorithm which will do the early screening and early screening. So what we did, that we had collected some data from online sources and also from some open source software. So and we had tried to develop some models based on ML techniques. Like here we had used BGG16, RASNet 50, NestNet. These are well-established ML techniques, and inspection V3 algorithms, we had fed the data after pre-processing to the algorithm or structure, and then after some time, means after the analysis of the data can be could be classified into two categories. One is your for normal cases, another for the abnormal cases. From the literature, this is the analysis of our endoscopic data. From the literature, we had seen that CBC also varies if a person is suffering from GC. So we had collected from the literature, and using one Python algorithm, we developed one GUI, that is graphical user interface, and some if-else loop was formed, and we had shown that if a person, let me say I'm having some CBC count, and if it is below the cutoff, then the computer will, on the screen of the computer, it will be popped up that yes, this person is normal, no need to go for any endoscopic images. Now, but if the CBC counts are beyond the cutoff range, then the computer will display one line that go for endoscopic images. And if we again rerun our earlier codes, this one, then it can classify if it is a cancerous case or non-cancerous case. Now you may ask me, why have you taken up this problem? Because as you know that India is having more than 135 million population. So it is very difficult for doctors to screen each and every person individually, their images. So we thought that if we can do some early screening, we are not saying that whatever we are doing very much authentic and all those, but if we can do that, we can do some early screening, so that if there is something abnormal, then that patient will go to the doctor. If that patient is not abnormal, if let me say I may be having some stomach ache, but my CBC counts and all those things are okay, then I do not have to go to the doctor. So this is the basic idea which we had in our mind while developing these algorithms. So these are the some results we had. You can see that we are getting quite good accuracy from these algorithms. So as I have told you that these data sets were taken from the online platform. Now what we are trying to do, that we are trying to collaborate with some hospitals and trying to get some real-time data. One more thing, this is the last problem which I have discussed, that early detection of oral cancers, cancer in histopathological and non-invasive images using ML techniques. This is also one more important and prevalent cancers in India. And so what we did that, so early detection, proper diagnosis, all those things are important. Here also we had collected some data from online sources, and then tried to develop some models like ResNet, Inception BC. Here this VGG16, this model architecture we had modified by ourselves and tried to develop something. And here also these are the some results, but point is that here we are getting accuracy for the training data set is quite good, but validation accuracies we are not satisfied with those data, because our data set was very small. Around 800 data we had used. So now we are trying to enhance the data set, and we'll try to relook into our results. So that is all about the work which we are doing. And so thank you so much for having patience to listen to our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parimita. AI and ML. You will find every year AI and ML is there. Whichever field you see, not only medical, but there are plus and minuses of everyone. Because doctor can use your data and for your preventive care also sometime, or they can warn you sometimes, and they कभी आपको घबराहट भी दे सकते हैं, ये होने वाला है आपके डाटा से ऐसा लग रहा है, तो आपको लगेगा तो जो भी दीदी सिमरन ने बताया तो वो फिर गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, आपको माइंड दूसरा तरफ चलने लगेगा. तो ठीक है, हर चीज़ का प्लस माइनस है. terabytes of data it can calculate and do things. So thank you for the good work which you are doing. So now I'd like to call Dr. Deepak Jaiswal. He's the chairman of NFITU and yes, to give his views.
आज के डॉक्टर्स डे विधान चंद्र डे के उपलक्ष्य में जो डॉक्टर डे मनाया जा रहा है उसमें हमारे CSR रिसर्च फंड के डायरेक्टर फाउंडर मेरे भाई के ये उन्होंने एक हमको अपॉर्चुनिटी दी है कि मैं भी 2 शब्द रखूं परंतु मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है कि बैठने का और सुनने का भी हम लोगों की एक क्षमता होती है और वो क्षमता बहुत एक्सट्रीम पे पहुंच चुकी है। तो मैं ज़्यादा नहीं बोलना चाहता, मैं इतना ही बताना चाहता हूं कि मैं महारत्न कंपनी है फ्यूली की, कोल इंडिया नाम है उसका, जो देश को आपका भी जो AC चल रहा है अगर एक दिन कोला बंद हो जाता है तो हम लोगों को खबर आती है कि शायद बहुत बड़ा विपत्ति आ सकती है। उसमें हम लोग काम किए हैं और 81 से लेके अभी तक काफ़ी आप समझ सकते हैं कि रिमोट एरिया में कोयला निकलता है, पर्यावरण की समस्या है, सुरक्षा की समस्या है, ऑक्यूपेशनल हेल्थ सेफ्टी की समस्या है। तो मैं सौभाग्य से या दुर्भाग्य से डॉक्टर आयुर्वेदिक डॉक्टर था वहाँ और मैं उसके प्रति काफ़ी कॉन्शियस रहता था कि खासतौर पर ब्रांकाइटिस लोगों को हुआ जा करती थी, लोग गुड़ और दूध दिया करते थे मालिक लोग कि उसको पी लो और पानी भी वही खदान का रहता था, तो बीमारी का स्तर ज़्यादा था। और आज बीमारी पर काफ़ी बात हुई है, हेल्थ इज़ वेल्थ। मेरे को लगता है कि कोविड ने हमको सिखा दिया है कि वेल्थ नहीं हेल्थ चाहिए। लोग एक एक ट्रक में नोट लेके घूमते रहे कि हमको 4 ऑक्सीजन का सिलेंडर मिल जाए, 4 इंजेक्शन मिल जाए। तो जो चीज़ हमारे हाथ में है उसको हमारे भाई हमेशा ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग करते रहते हैं, क्योंकि उससे बड़ा कोई धन नहीं है, उससे बड़ी कोई चीज़ नहीं है कि हम 1 आदमी, 2 आदमी, 1000 आदमी, 1 करोड़ आदमी को कुछ सुविधा दें। उसके ब्रेन को, उस व्यक्ति को स्टॉर्मिंग करके सतर्क कर दें, उसको तैयार कर दें। और वो काम CSR मैं देख रहा हूँ, स्वयं मिलता भी हूँ, लगभग 100 तो पूरा हो ही चुका है बड़े बड़े स्तर पर। और अभी G20 चल रहा है। सौभाग्य से मेरा यूनियन भी भारत सरकार का सबसे बड़ा मान्यता प्राप्त संगठन है। मान्यता प्राप्त संगठन से होने के नाते हमें सोशल सिक्योरिटी, सोशल जस्टिस, सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द स्टेक होल्डर के बारे में मिली। आज स्टेक होल्डर कम थे, स्टेक होल्डरों में जागृति की कमी है कि उसमें एक ही बात निभर के आई, 27 देश के लोग थे कि लाइफ कंटिन्यूटी के लिए 180 लाइफ कंटिन्यूटी बना रखने के लिए हेल्थ की बहुत बड़ी जरूरत है, हेल्थ केयर की। और आज हेल्थ केयर का काम और एक मंच पर एक दूसरे के आज से 10 साल पहले एनीमिया रहते थे कि ये होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर, इसको डॉक्टर नहीं मानते, ये आयुर्वेदिक डॉक्टर है, ये एक्यूप्रेशर डॉक्टर है, ये मेडिटेशन का है। अभी तो जरूरत इस बात की है कि अपोलो में साफ लिखा रहता है डायबिटीज केवल लाइफ स्टाइल से ही सुधर सकती है, बड़े से बड़े ब्रांडेड अस्पतालों में। तो आपने बहुत सुना, खासतौर पे हमारे अजय चौधरी साहब ने भी बताया है कि मुझको लगता है कि शारीरिक रूप से ज्यादा मानसिक रूप के बीमार लोग हो रहे हैं, खासतौर पे बहुत। इसलिए ये फिर से मैं पुनः आभार व्यक्त करता हूं अपने मजदूरों की ओर से, हमारे 5.5 करोड़ सदस्य संख्या है उनकी ओर से, उनके NGO की ओर से, श्री दीनदयाल अग्रवाल जी को, जैसा इनका नाम है वैसे ही इनका काम रहता है। और इनके छोटे से, मैं तो कुछ दूसरे काम से यहाँ आया था, उन्होंने अनुरोध किया और आपने भी मुझको आखिरी वक्त पे इतना सुना, मैं तो 1 मिनट आधा मिनट का भी शायद आप लोग सुनने की स्थिति में नहीं थे। आप हंसे मुस्कुराएं, और सबसे बड़ी चीज आज आपने पूरा साथ दिया आखिरी तक इस प्रोग्राम का, ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। तो मैं सबको नमस्कार करता हूं कि कुछ ना कुछ अच्छी चीज लेके हम जाएं, खराब चीज छोड़ जाएं, जैसा बहन बोल रही हैं। पॉजिटिव सोचें, सकारात्मक सोचें, तो निश्चित तौर पे आज ये सफल होगा। और मैं पुनः सभी को, जो चले गए, जो अभी बैठे हैं, खासतौर पर उनको ज्यादा धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि हाँ, कि एक दूसरे को सुना, एक दूसरे का शेयर किए। ऐसे प्रोग्राम होना चाहिए, उनको उत्साहित भी करते रहना चाहिए। और निश्चित तौर पर मैं सबको प्रणाम करता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर जायसवाल जी। आप कोयला में हैं तो कोयला तो बहुत ज़्यादा हमारा काम आ रहा है। आज की डेट में भी करीब करीब एनर्जी में 50 से 52% कोयला ही है। तो बगैर कोयले के ये जो ईवी चल रहा है कुछ चलने वाला नहीं है। तो आपका बहुत बड़ा सहयोग है, और जिस तरह से आप सहायता कर रहे इंडस्ट्री की, आई थिंक बहुत कमेंडेबल है। मैं आपको और आपकी टीम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ। आज के हमारे लास्ट स्पीकर हैं डॉक्टर SP सिंह जी, प्रिंसिपल सीनियर साइंटिस्ट, CSIR NPL। प्लीज गिव योर व्यूज।
Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to thank Deen Dayal ji and Professor Mehra for inviting me in here, and wish you a very happy Doctor's Day. So, although I think Dr. Paramita has already explained a lot about this AI in healthcare, right? I'm just giving some kind of introduction, and I'm from this division of Bharatiya Nirdesak Dravya, which is Indian reference material. So since morning, what we were talking about, all kind of measurements and the standards, we have all kind of written standards, but technically how we follow them, for that, these reference materials plays a very important role. And in India, can you imagine, last week I was in Jal Shakti Ministry, and the director Jal Shakti Ministry, Mr. Raja, he told, man, we are buying this NaCl, this salt, but 20,000 rupees per kg, because it's a reference material. And what we are making in here, now we are supplying this to our testing laboratory at 1,000 rupees per kg only. And there was another material, I think it was the potassium solution or some pH standards. So one was having 76,000. They were buying from NIST USA, and we are now preparing at the cost of 4,000 rupees. It is available in the market. So this was the initiative which we have taken. And being a doctor, you must be having, knowing the importance of the testing and calibration. Because in hospitals, to be honest, most of the machines, they are not calibrated properly. They are not routinely calibrated, right? Why they are not routinely calibrated? Because we don't have the reference standard to calibrate them. So this is one step which our division has taken. Sorry. And so I would like to start with this again with the Happy Doctor's Day, and thanks for turning possibility into the miracles, right? So this is a greeting card I found from the website. And so what I feel as the today's meeting, this is integrating healthcare. So if we integrate engineers with the doctors, we can do the miracles. And this is what your AI is telling nowadays. And this is what biomedical engineer has given to the medical science, right? So for example, now we are having this MRI, all these CT scan. That comes from the basic physics principle with which we are having NMR, right? From NMR, we came to develop this MRI machine. And now we can image all others' brain, and now we can have the whole MRI of the body and identify the disease organs. So if we join hand together, we can do miracles, and we can have new paradigms in the medical science and healthcare. So as Paramita has already told that what AI is nothing solving the complex problems. For example, if I see these, I don't think this is not working, right? Anyway, so these complex equations, it means sometimes the solution of this complex equation is so complex that human cannot do by themselves. Some iterative these equations we have to solve. So there we have to take the help of the computer, right? So the power of computation now allowing us to solve these complex problems. Similarly, so we are creating basically this artificial brain in here, right? Now, you take an example of this MRI image a doctor or a radiologist is analyzing, but that radiologist can miss certain information in there. Now, if we have trained module of our artificial intelligence, then we can more precisely means extract the information from those images, right? And this in recent years, you may have seen this as Paramita has already told. This one of the important example is ChatGPT, but it is a two-edged sword. You can use it positively, you can use it negatively as well. And most of the AI tools people are using negatively these days. I could see they are putting different kind of informations, right? And those informations are half cooked, and now we are training our brain with the half cooked informations. So that is dangerous as well. The power of this is positive and negative both. You have this another example of artificial intelligence, this company Healthify Me. Now what they are doing, they are taking information of yours, what you like to eat. So they can make your diet chart, and they are advising you that you have to move this much step in a day. If you are not moving, then now you cannot eat two chapatis. You can only eat one chapati because your calories for the days are not burned, right? So this is how they are supporting the healthcare, and all these things are AI based modules basically. Now, this AI can predict lot many things. So this is one of the example since morning, but Dr. Sarkar was saying that a patient is entering to the room and doctor is identifying what kind of disease they have. Eye is one of the important organ. In old days when we go to the doctor, he used to say, hey, can you show me your eye? And then open your mouth, I want to see your tongue. And from those eye and tongue, they can identify lot many diseases. Now, if we find those attributes and we can take picture of them, right, and program again develop AI tools. So we don't have to go to the expensive testing machines, and we can predict various kind of diseases through the eye. This American Ophthalmology Academy, they have basically said that through eye you can see your body completely. A different kind of a set of 22 diseases they are saying you can identify right through the eye. So if I can develop the module for these 22 diseases, I can only identify these diseases through the eye, right? So, and this American Academy of Ophthalmology, they have said that after 40, every youth should go for a complete eye checkup. because there you can identify what kind of developments are going on, what kind of disease are getting developed inside you. So there AI can play a very important role. Further, recently there was an interview of this guy, Sundar Pichai from Google, and they are already developing those modules, what I am telling in there. They are trying to replace even MRI. He was saying, in his statement, he was very clear that in future we can replace these MRI and CT scan by the AI tools. We just have to take a picture of eye and then identify the diseases. So, and another powerful thing of this AI is think that if you can get the information of your patient day or 2 day before that this guy is going to develop this disease, right? Then you can plan the therapy well in advance, right? And you can save so many lives. This is the power of AI. So with the AI, we have to join hand together, and we have to understand each other's language, right? The engineers has to understand a doctor's language, and doctors has to understand the engineer's language. And with the help of AI, we can do so many things in the healthcare. Thank you. This is what.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. I think it was a great. लिख रखे हैं?
थैंक यू
चल रहा है.
माहौर साहब, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा इस सेशन को अच्छा संचालन किया. थैंक यू वीपी माहौर साहब. अब मैं जो हमारे सारे स्पीकर हैं वो उनका एक लास्ट में चाहते हैं कि उनका सम्मान किया जाए. तो मैं रिचा को इनवाइट करता हूँ कि वो पीके सिमरन दीदी का सम्मान करें. अब मैं डॉक्टर गुरप्रीत हैं, गुरप्रीत वो डॉक्टर विशाल सिंह का मोमेंटो से सम्मानित करें. डॉक्टर पूजा. पूजा जी जो हमारी आज की स्पीकर है डॉक्टर प्रतिभा गुहा जी, उनका सम्मान करेंगे स्मृति चिन्ह देके. एक बार जोरदार तालियों से एक बार. और डॉक्टर अर्चना, आप एसपी सिंह जी प्रिंसिपल सीनियर सांसद CSR NPL का एक मोमेंटो स्वागत. थैंक यू. दीपक जायसवाल जी बिलासपुर से आए हैं और नो डाउट जो उन्होंने कहा है एक बहुत बड़ी ट्रेड यूनियन की आप चेयरमैन है, कई सालों से काम कर रही है, लगभग 5 करोड़ इनके मेंबर भी हैं, ऐसा उन्होंने अभी बताया. तो मैं चाहूँगा ललित अरोड़ा जी से कि एक बार उनको सम्मानित करें. अब ये लास्ट में, हाँ लास्ट में. वैसे तो अभी हम बहुत संख्या में कम है, एक बार मैं सभी का बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। जो हमारे स्पॉन्सर है LIC, URS सर्टिफिकेट लिमिटेड, DFM, फिलाइसॉफ, तत्वम और करोड़ा, मैं हम सभी का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं कि कोई भी कार्यक्रम की सफलता हमारी एक तो श्रोतागण जो आप लोग हैं, तन मन धन तीनों चाहिए होते हैं। तन में आप सब लोग उपस्थित हैं, हमने प्रयास किया, कैसा रहा क्या रहा ये बाद में पता लगेगा, लेकिन हमें लगता है कि हमने प्रयास किया, क्योंकि ये टॉपिक ऐसा था कि इसमें सभी जो व्यक्ति है हमने उसको इन्वॉल्व किया है। अगली बार हो सकता है जो भी कमी बार हम उसको दूर करने की कोशिश करेंगे। आप सभी आए, सभी का बहुत बहुत आभार। जो हमारे उनका भी आभार, जो भी जो स्पीकर है सभी का आभार। मैं सभी से गुजारिश करूंगा कि एक बार ग्रुप फोटो के लिए सब इधर मंच पे आ जाए, क्योंकि एक ग्रुप फोटो हो जाएगा तो अच्छा रहेगा। प्लीज आइए सभी लोग, आप आइए पीछे से सभी लोग। हाँ, एक बार जरूर आपसे कहना चाहूंगा कि हमने कोशिश की है हर एक घंटे में कुछ ना कुछ खिलाते रहे, जिससे कि आपको नहीं आए। अभी हाई टी के लिए आप सभी को हम आमंत्रित कर रहे हैं। हाई टी रेडी इन दिस हॉल, हाई टी लेके जरूर है प्लीज। थैंक यू।